All right, guys, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. We've got a lot to cover today. I hope you have enjoyed your, I don't even know if it's an afternoon off or a day off or whatever from your humble host, but he's back. He's back. If you were like me, you watched the Julian Dory interview. I wanted to see it. He was posting several clips of it. I said, all right, I'm going to bite the bullet and watch the whole thing in its entirety. I don't love watching myself on camera, certainly, but I thought it came out all right. He is in his prime. He's in his prime. He reminds me of a younger Joe Rogan, but more fearless at his age than Joe was when he was just a few years into it. So if you hadn't checked it out, I think he linked it as a collab link, so you'll be able to, I think, find it through my channel. But if not, go to his channel. You can find it there as well. We have a tremendous amount to cover, and it is what a coinky dink. We were going to talk about Officer Bagley today, and Candace talked about Officer Bagley today, and she gave us a great piece of intel that we're going to look at. We're going to take a look at this during the show because it plays nicely into my theory that there was a backup plan in place, and I think I can prove it. And I think what happened at UVU sort of, and what she covered tonight sort of exposes what the backup plan was. So we will get to that. When I open tonight, I'm going to get into, it's a little cap and gowney for the open. And I want to give a disclaimer. I'm well aware of all the conspiracy theories that surround what we're going to talk about. I'm very well aware of them, but I wrote the open down the middle because I don't want people to lose the broader point if I go into some of the conspiracy angles of what we're talking about. So please refrain from commenting and say, but the real reason this event happened, the real reason this giant chaotic storm happened is X, Y, and Z. I know what the real reasons were. Trust me. But I didn't want to get so far off base in talking about it that we lose the point I was trying to make. And the point is in the conclusion of the open. So bear with me as we go through sort of the mainstream narrative of this particular event. I think it has a lot of application to what we're going to talk about tonight in terms of a potential backup plan. We also return to some of the original police radio tonight. We're going to look at some of the radio calls about some items that were found, jackets, gloves, hats, all that kind of stuff, because we now find a little more detail in what we're looking for, a little more detail that might cause us to ask, whose exactly was that stuff again? Because we looked around and don't find what is alleged to have been found. And we also are going to take a look at Christian pastors wishing violence upon podcasters. It doesn't sound very Christian to me. It doesn't sound very pastor-like or whatever he is. I'm not sure if he's a pastor, calls himself a theologian or apologetics person or something. I'm not sure what he calls himself. It's Frank Turek. What a turd. I don't know any other way to say it. The man is just a turd. Anyone who will walk around in public with those glasses on is suspect right out of the gate. No offense if you have a pair of those, but you constantly look like you're just coming home from the shooting range. You're a little weird. I mean, that's all there is to it. You're just a little weird. If I don't know any other way to say it, right? If I'm running home reading with my shooting goggles on, I think people would be right to sort of take a step back and say, what the hell's going on here? Right? What's happening? It's not unlike, well, I don't want to say that. It's weird. It's just weird. That's all there is to it. So we will take a quick look at that. We're also going to dig into some of the testimony Officer Bagley gave about his body-worn camera footage. We've done a little additional investigation. We found the precise model he was using. We've seen what should have happened, and we'll talk about it. And we'll ask, did that happen? Or did they just trim the footage out and hide it? Because frankly, I think that's what happened. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with the open again, ladies and gentlemen, please understand that one more thing. Some of you must be new. I cough a lot. At Julian's place, I didn't have my mute button. I have one here. It's a cough button. I don't have that there. And so you guys got to hear me hack around a little bit on his show. But a lot of you notice I do. And inevitably, I get emails, I don't want to say daily, but a lot about, is he taking an ACE inhibitor? Is he taking lisinopril? I take no medicine relative to blood pressure. I just cough. I have a terrible cough. I've had it for going on 46 years. All right. So I hacked all through elementary school and middle school and high school and college and law school and all through my career. I'm sorry if it annoys people. I can't help that. But I don't need advice relative to it with respect to whether or not I'm taking some sort of blood pressure medicine. I can assure you my blood pressure is spectacular. It's real and it's spectacular. All right. And it's all I'm going to say about it. It's all I'm going to say about it. I want to get into this open though, because I don't know how lengthy it is, but it's meaty. It's meaty. But I think it's a fun little trip through a story. Obviously, serious historians are well aware of the arguments with this about what happened. A lot of amateur historians are not. A lot of amateur people just out there walking around are not particularly well versed in what kicked off World War I. And I want to talk about it because I think, believe it or not, the kicking off of World War I has application to the death of Charlie Kirk. I want you to listen to this story, and as we talk about it, I want you to say, this sounds awfully familiar. But in order to get there, we got to go all the way back to the early part of the 20th century. We've got to look at Europe. What was Europe like in the earliest part of the 20th century? It was simmering tensions everywhere you looked. It was a continent full of simmering tensions. There was this balance of power, and it was precarious. It was very poorly constructed, and it rested on things like militarism, imperial ambition. And there was this series of rigid alliance systems that had formed, particularly around Germany. Otto von Bismarck, in his attempt to structure Germany together in the late 19th century, really put a weird alliance over the continent. And so by the time World War I came around, the major powers had really divided into two opposing camps. There was the Triple Alliance of Germany, and this was Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy. So you have, kind of in a row right in the middle of the continent. And then on the other side, you had the Triple Entente of France, Russia, and Britain. So sort of the periphery of Europe. So you had the center of Europe and the periphery of Europe, and it led to an arms race. There were massive investments in things like armies and navies. People were building boats. I mean, they were planting forests in order to build boats 20 years from now. Add to that, you had colonial rivalries in Africa and Asia. This was the era of colonialism, or the kind of the tail end of colonialism. But there was a lot of mutual suspicion about who's putting colonies where, and why are you putting there? Are you challenging us? Are you building up something to challenge us? And nationalism. This was the beginning of sort of the nationalist movement, and it just was surging everywhere you looked, and it was nowhere more explosive than in the Balkans. And you guys know that because we are huge in the Balkans, and you guys play a central role here. The Balkans had been dominated by the Ottomans for a long time, but the Ottomans were in sunset. They were declining. And so you have Balkan Wars, 1912, 1913, and it had pretty dramatically reshaped the map. Serbia sort of emerged as the larger power. They were more confident, and they were determined to unite all the southern Slavic people. So the Serbs, the Croats, the Slovenes, and there were others, but those are kind of the big groups. And it basically functioned as a greater Serbia, or a broader Yugoslav state. Austria-Hungary was a multi-ethnic dual monarchy. It's quite unlike what was going on in the Balkans. It was ruled by the Habsburgs and had been for a long time. And most importantly, for this point, it viewed Serbia's ambition as an existential threat. The empire had already struggled to manage their diverse populations. Again, Germans, Hungarians, Czechs, Poles, even some Slavs. By 1908, it had formally annexed Bosnia-Herzegovina. This was a territory it had been in charge of for like 3 decades, maybe 4, 3 or 4 decades. And the annexation rightly outraged the Serbian nationalists because they saw Bosnia and its Serb population as sort of rightfully theirs. I mean, if you're Serbian, you should join us and not join the Hungarians and the Germans. And in the midst of all this, you have Russia. Russia is the self-proclaimed protector of the Slavs. So Russia naturally backed Serbia. And Germany naturally stood behind its ally, Austria-Hungary. And this is the charged atmosphere You've got all these things going on, and this is the very charged atmosphere within which, frankly, pretty radical groups began flourishing. There was a group called Young Bosnia. It was a network of pretty idealistic students, but there were some revolutionaries in their midst, and they wanted to overthrow the Habsburgs, even through violence if necessary, but they preferred propaganda and political might. But closely linked to Young Bosnia was a group called Black Hand. Now, Black Hand was not mild by any stretch of the imagination. They were a secret society founded in Serbia back in 1911. They were led by the head of the Serbian military intelligence. And the Black Hand's explicit goal was liberation and unification of Serbs by any means necessary, even violence, maybe especially violence. Its members trained in things like terrorism. They supplied weapons to groups in the area. And for these nationalists, there was a guy who was sort of the ideal figure to oppose. His name was Archduke Franz Ferdinand. He was the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and he was the embodiment of this oppressive imperial order that they felt like was oppressing them and pushing them down, keeping them down. Well, Ferdinand planned to visit Sarajevo on June 28th of 1914. It was the anniversary of a Battle of Kosovo back in 1389. Talk about people not letting things go. That was Serbia's defeat, historic defeat by the Ottomans. And it was seen by these radical groups as a very deliberate provocation that he would come there on that day. Some of them also feared that Ferdinand's ideas for reforming the empire into a more federal structure might co-opt these South Slav loyalties, and they might block Serbian expansion. So killing him was sort of a twofold result. It would block, Habsburg authority, but it would also be a symbolic revenge. It had a very deep symbolic purpose. But the plot to kill him began coming together long before June 28th when he decided to visit. It started being put together in the spring of 1914. There was a 19-year-old kid named Gavrilo Princip. He was a Bosnian-Serbian student. He was of poor health, but he had very fierce conviction. He read newspaper reports of the Archduke's forthcoming inspection of military maneuvers in Bosnia, so he decided to travel to Belgrade with a couple of friends. And there, he got in touch with Black Hand contacts who provided them firearms, bombs, pistols, and even cyanide capsules, so that after the deed was done, they could, not be captured. There were even local handlers there. They kind of helped the guys sneak across the border undetected. But once they were in Sarajevo, the group's organizer recruited additional conspirators. And so the group sort of grew a little bit. And on the day of the big event, they sort of spread themselves out along an announced motorcade route. And on the morning of June 28th, Franz Ferdinand and his wife, Sophie, they arrived and their car was open, kind of like John F. Kennedy's was. They arrived in an open car. It was part of a 6-vehicle procession that was going to ride through a previously advertised procession route. Security was obviously very light for some reason, but they, because they had published the route, they knew where to stand. It came time for the first assassin to do his deed. Well, he lost his nerve. He just didn't do his job. And so there was a backup plan. There was a second assassin. So he steps forward. He strikes the detonator of his bomb on a lamppost, and he tosses it towards the car. Unlucky for him, but lucky for the Archduke, the bomb bounces off the car, and it explodes under the following vehicle. It wounded some officers and bystanders, but the royal couple themselves, Ferdinand and Sophie, were unscathed. They weren't hurt. They weren't injured in any way. So the guy who threw the bomb, it didn't work out for him. He swallowed his cyanide pill and jumped into a river. Unfortunately, the river was very shallow, so he didn't drown. And the cyanide pill just made him vomit. It didn't actually kill him. So he was beaten and arrested. Not a good day for that guy. But the motorcade speeds off towards City Hall. And the remaining conspirators, including Princip, they sort of watched their chance slip away. They thought, oh man, we missed it. Here was our chance to take him out, and we lost. We missed it. But at the reception, the Archduke did something weird. He decides to just go forward with the plan, go forward with the program. Even though the attack had happened, even though a bomb had gone off, even though people had been injured, he's like, well, we came to celebrate, so let's celebrate, doggone it. And then afterwards, he said, why don't we go visit the wounded in the hospital, boost morale? So they decided to go to the hospital, but on the return route, they said, let's go a different direction. Let's go a different way so that we're not going right back over the same route. Unfortunately, that change wasn't communicated very well. It did not get passed down to all of the drivers. Ferdinand was, I think, in the second car. The lead car turns the wrong way, goes back down the original route, and the Archduke's vehicle follows right behind. Someone realizes the error. They holler out, and they're like, stop. And they start pushing the car back. Back then, cars didn't have reverse, so the car stalls out. But it stalled out, as fate would have it, directly in front of Princip, the 19-year-old kid of poor health but fierce conviction. He'd kind of stayed near his original position on the original route. Well, he seized the moment. He drew his pistol, fired a couple of shots from just a few feet away. One struck Sophie in the abdomen. The other hit Franz Ferdinand in the neck. It severed a major artery, and he bled out and died. Both of them died. Of course, Princip was immediately grabbed. He was immediately taken into custody. But the pretty carefully planned assassination had almost collapsed. But then there was this comedy of errors. There was this cascade of failures. And by pure chance, they had the opportunity to pull it off. Locally, the murder was an outrage, obviously. You don't want public officials dying in your town. But nothing about it should have kicked off a global war. But it did, because the diplomatic machinery of Europe transformed it into a continental catastrophe. Austria-Hungary became determined to crush the Serbs. They wanted to crush Serbian nationalism once and for all. They'd already viewed it as an existential threat. Now one of the heirs to the throne had been killed, and they were angry. So they immediately went to Germany and looked for German backing. And Kaiser Wilhelm II issued a famous blank check, and he promised unconditional support. Well, that's all the rest of the continent needed. Austria-Hungary was pretty emboldened by this German support. So they drafted a harsh, very harsh ultimatum and delivered it to Serbia. And it demanded a few things. One was a suppression of anti-Austrian propaganda. Easy enough, right? They wanted a dissolution of all these secret nationalist societies. All right, fine. But most critically, they demanded Austro-Hungarian participation in the judicial investigation that was taking place on Serbian soil. So Serbia accepted most of the points, but they rejected that final one, and the basis that it infringed on their sovereignty. And pretty quickly, just within a couple of days, Austria broke diplomatic relations. And on July 28th, it declared war and immediately began shelling Belgrade. It was like their dream. They'd been wanting to do it, and they finally got the opportunity and the excuse to do it. Well, in comes Russia. Russia feels trapped, at least bound. They have this Slavic solidarity thing going on. And so it ordered a mobilization, but really only a partial mobilization. They just wanted to kind of get Austria to knock it off. But Germany wasn't amused, and they viewed the Russian mobilization as a real direct threat. So they declared war on Russia. All of a sudden, you have like a multi-front war going on. Not content with just declaring war on Russia, they actually looked the other way and declared war on France 2 days later. So you have now Austria, Hungary, and Germany have declared war on everybody. German troops immediately invade Belgium. Belgium was neutral, but they want to get through Belgium to kind of outflank the French. And England, for its most part, was committed to Belgian neutrality. There was a treaty that required them to respect their neutrality and come to their aid if it was ever violated. England also kind of wanted to deter German domination of the whole continent, so they declared war on Germany. That was just the next day, August 4th. So within weeks, this alliance system had dragged nearly every great European power into this huge total war. And think about it. It's just a simple little assassination of a kid, an heir to the throne, not even a head of state, in the Balkans, of all places. And it launched the First World War. And the First World War was horrific. It was a total war. It would claim millions of lives. It brought down 4 empires. It reshaped the entire modern world. Everything you know about today's world can go back to that war. So the shots fired in Sarajevo didn't necessarily make a total continental war inevitable, but they exposed and activated these really rigid structures that all these different alliances caused. These heightened mutual suspicions. They ultimately triggered a willingness to risk catastrophe because this catastrophe, this risk, this willingness to accept that risk, it's sort of accumulated across Europe for a long time, decades, really. So it wasn't really a backup plan, but the fact that Princip was there to get a second shot at taking out the Archduke kind of brought to my mind the exposure last week by Nissy Social of who was on the roof with Officer Bagley. Candace talked about it tonight. Very fortunate timing. And the officer's name was Alan Robertson. Alan Robertson is an officer with Utah State University, not Utah Valley University. Utah State University is on the other side of Salt Lake City. It's way up north. Utah Valley is kind of in the middle of everything. It's just kind of down by Provo, an hour or so south of Salt Lake. Utah State's way up there. What the hell's this guy doing there? Why is he in plain clothes and why is he on the roof? So tonight we're going to look at what that might mean in terms of a backup plan for ensuring the removal of Charlie Kirk. And just to keep this analogy of World War I as tight as possible, a lot of people look back and consider Archduke Ferdinand the first casualty of World War I. Well, it just might turn out that Charlie Kirk was the first casualty of World War III. So we're going to take a look at that tonight. I hope you are buckled up as we go through it, because I've long wondered why so many of the events when they first kicked off this tour were just right there next to each other. Two of them in the state of Utah. Utah's, population-wise, not very big. And then there was some Colorado stuff right there. We'll go back and look at the beginning part of the tour. We have an archive link that'll show us where everything was and what events were supposed to be taking place. It'll be an interesting little gander. But before we get there, I want to real quickly just launch into this total chaos that is enveloping the Christian community that surrounds TPUSA. They sound bloodthirsty. They sound rabid. They sound like a wounded animal that is, for some reason, unable to contain their own angst and hate and disgust, frankly. I don't quite understand it. If you disagree with somebody, a lot of times the best thing to do is sort of give them a little space, let them vent for a little while and see how it goes. And particularly when you disagree with someone over something that we're going to find out in the end. Right? At some point, there will be a judicial determination in all likelihood. There'll be some kind of a judicial determination over who killed Charlie Kirk. If you think Tyler Robinson did it and you think that's kind of cut and dry, then why do you care if Candace is looking at other alternatives? For Frank Turek, he really cares. I'm going to play a really short clip tonight, just very short clip. It's been making the rounds on social media, but I have strong opinions on this. Here's Frank Turek. He's the guy in the shooting glasses on the left. The scared looking fella on the right is another guy. I don't even know who that is. But listen to what he has to say real quickly about Candace Owens and ask yourself, what is he really calling for? What is he really wanting to accomplish here?
That's what Satan does. In fact, what did the apostles and Jesus call Satan? He's a murderer, a liar, an accuser, a slanderer who wants to steal, kill, and destroy. Charlie was murdered. What have we had since then? Lies, accusations, and slander seeking to kill, steal, and destroy. Or steal, kill, and destroy. This is spiritual warfare. This is demonic activity.
I'll pause right there. I don't mind that he has that opinion. If he strongly, vehemently disagrees with Candace Owens on her approach to covering this case, or anyone else who's covering this case, okay, that's great. If you want to speak out against it, that's fine. Do so responsibly, because speech matters. Listen to where he goes. Listen to where he takes this.
Yeah, I'm talking about Candace Owens. Yeah, it's ridiculous. You don't accuse people of murder without evidence, but
who has she accused of murder without evidence? That's what I don't understand. They always say this. But they never stop and provide a citation to the record. It happens to me a lot. People say, "Oh, you made this claim." Okay, well, point to it. If I made that claim and you disagree with it and you can convince me otherwise, I'll be happy to offer a correction. But short of that, that's sort of defamation. If Frank Turek is running around saying Candace Owens is accusing people of murdering Charlie Kirk, who, when, what episode, what line? When did she say this?
That's what she's doing left and right.
And she's doing it left and right. She's not just doing it. She didn't just do it one time. She didn't do it in passing. This is a continual, ongoing habit of hers. This is what Frank Turek's position is. I would argue that's dishonest. I would argue that's just blatantly dishonest. It's just not true. It's factless. It is a lie. It's defamatory. It's satanic, in the words of Frank Turek. It is satanic. He's accusing a woman of accusing people of murder, and she's not doing that. She's just not doing that. And no matter how many times they say, so you have to ask yourself, why is he telling people she's doing this? What goal is he trying to accomplish? He's about to tell us. He's going to let us know.
He's insinuating it left and right. That's evil. In fact, in the Old Testament, Exodus 22:22 says that if you abused a widow or the fatherless, God says, I will hunt you down and kill you with the sword.
Frank, is that what you want? Is that what you want? A little Old Testament justice? A little pre-Jesus justice in your life? Is that where we're going with this? And if it's not, why are you citing it? Isn't that very think about that. If that's not what he's calling for, if he's not calling for Candace Owen to be taken out, why cite this passage? Why cite this passage? Has anyone called, that I'm aware of, I don't believe Candace ever has, for harm to befall Erica Kirk? I certainly have not. I don't want harm to befall anybody. I'm a pacifist at heart. I don't want anybody harmed. I don't think Candace has. In fact, recently she said, if I've ever been misinterpreted as saying that, then let me be clear. Long live Erica Kirk. Long live Dr. Erica Kirk. Let her live forever. I don't know anyone using this sort of violent rhetoric on our side. I don't know anyone who is investigating this, who is calling for death. Only Frank Turek, so far, is the only public figure I'm aware of that's actively calling or actively invoking passages that suggest the proper punishment for a podcaster who's covering this case is death. Only Frank Turek. He's the only one. And it's out of bounds, Frank. It's out of bounds. It is disgusting. It is absolutely horrific. I don't know what to do about it. I don't know, if I'm Candace Owens, how you handle this. But when you're citing Old Testament religious punishments that are basically, I will take you out with a sword if you do X, Y, and Z. And then he's saying, and she's doing X, Y, and Z. What about the people who only believe in the Old Testament, Frank? You know, there's some of those out there. There are a lot that, frankly, some of them are pretty powerful. Some of them are pretty connected. Some of them have podcasts of their own. It's reckless what this guy's saying.
Deuteronomy 19 in the Old Testament economy says, if you accuse somebody falsely of a crime and you're found out, you get the penalty of that crime. So if you falsely accuse someone of murder and you're found out, you're the one executed.
Guys, this is bonkers. This is bonkers. Particularly when you realize that Candace Owens differs with a lot of people who only believe in the Old Testament. She has different political positions, pretty strong disagreements, frankly, with people who don't, their Bible doesn't turn the page and go to Matthew 1:1. It stops at the right before there. Habakkuk or whatever's there at the end of the Old Testament. One of those minor prophets. That's where their Bible ends. That's where their scriptures end. And Frank is basically saying, hey, she's doing this. A, she's not. But she's doing this. That's what Frank says. And you, Old Testament people, you know what to do. You know how to handle this. Frank, this is out of bounds. This is unacceptable. This is a level of desperation I didn't know they had in their heart right. This is a level of desperation from the TPUSA affiliated entities, including Frank Turek, that I don't think they anticipated getting to this point. I really don't. I think these guys thought that this was going to be put to bed. There wasn't going to be a 10.5-month investigation. They're melting down. I mean, I think you could fairly characterize that as saying Frank Turek is trying to activate. This is my opinion, but it sounds to me like Frank is trying to activate Old Testament people to remove Candace, and I think that needs to be addressed. First, Frank, if you're going to say that, you better be able to cite your source about where Candace has said that repeatedly, left and right. That's what you're saying, that she says this left and right all the time. You should be able to cite your sources. You should be, if she's saying it left and right, that's at least twice. Let's say maybe 5 times, 10 times, 20. Left and right seems pretty persistent to me. He should be able to get on Twitter or go on a podcast and say, here are the times she said it. Episode 254, minute 1639. Episode 271, minute 1611. Episode 285. And he should be able to go right down and quote her words. If he's not able to do that, he's an admitted liar. He's an admitted liar. What's the Old Testament solution for that, Frankie? What do we get to do? Oh, no. I would never. But let's say he believes it and he has some sort of citation he can cite to and say, well, if you read this a certain way. He just said the Old Testament solution is death, finality by a sword. That's terrifying. Frank Turek is a monster. I believe that. Frank Turek is a monster. He has a very dark spirit, And I'll go one step further. Anyone who will lie like that blatantly, anyone who will lie like that, and who will call basically to have Candace Owens dealt with on Old Testament legal grounds would participate in the death of Charlie Kirk. I mean, I think it's possible. I every time these guys speak, I think, man, maybe they did do it. I don't know what he did. I have no opinion on that. But every time that happens, Frank, every time you do this, I start looking at you pulling on your bill just a little tighter. I start looking at you changing stories about, did I give CPR? Did I not give CPR? I look at it a little closer, Frankie. Every time you go down this road, every time you get dark and Old Testament-y, I start wondering, did you kill Charlie Kirk? Were you involved? Is that why you were sent there the days before, to keep him occupied, to keep him distracted? Is that why you were there the day of? Is that why Butch Hibbs was there with you? I start wondering these things. I don't know the answer to that. I really don't have an opinion on it. But it's hard not to speculate when this is where they go. If I'm Candace Owens, am I scared by what's happening in this podcast? Am I scared? Well, maybe a little, frankly. Maybe a little. He just accused her of something that would invoke the death penalty in the Old Testament. He's well aware that there are millions of people in this world, whose belief system stops with the Old Testament. That's their scripture. That's their law. He's telling them they have to do it. That's dark, guys. That is dark. And if he wasn't intending to do that, Frank is reckless and dumb and stupid. He is so low IQ. He has no idea what he's doing. He owes her an apology. If honestly, I believe this. If he is unable to come up with left and right examples of Candace Owens accusing Erica Kirk of killing Charlie Kirk, I mean, yeah. If he's unable to come up with this, he owes her an apology. And Frank, I know you were bashing Catholicism. You need to go to confession, big man. You don't want to go to a Catholic priest, go to somebody. Talk this out, brother. You do not need to keep this bottled up. It is hurting your soul. It's hurting your spirit. It's very unchristlike. Very unchristlike. To the point I cannot imagine a human being going to you for spiritual direction and guidance. Period. End of story. I don't want to go on and on about it, but I have to draw attention to it because I don't think people are taking this seriously enough. I see a lot of people joking about it and laughing about it on X. There's nothing funny about it. There's nothing funny about it. When you're dealing with millions of people, there's an inevitability that a small percentage of them are going to act on the reckless things you're saying, Frank. And you've got to stop that. You keep using these little pet lines because you think you're sharp and you think you're funny. You're not. You're dangerous. You're dark. You have a very dark spirit, a very dark soul. One might argue satanic if this is what you want to see happen. And you should repent. Turn around. You owe her an apology, a personal apology. You should call her and apologize. And then you should go public after you do. Then you could say, I never intended it to come across that way. If you guys interpret it that way, please know we do not need any more harm to befall anyone at all. Stop it. Everybody just stop it. Back up. Take a step back. All right. I want to go to, we now have a description of the jacket that was found. We now have a description of the jacket that was found. You guys are going to see kind of a boring little screen here because this is the way we do it around here, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to see a boring little screen. There's been a lot of discussion over the jacket that was found by the bus stop, whether it was taken for DNA testing, who stopped the DNA testing. We'll get into all that in just a second. But Daisy was poring over radio chatter, listening to see if she could find the discovery of the jacket. And she has, ladies and gentlemen, she has. So we shall listen to it here in real time.
From Amtrak. Have a jacket located at a bus stop on Campus Drive. We also found one vehicle had a ammo can in the back of it. Nothing else. 47. The jacket looks like it's gray plaid. Right, that one I'll be back.
So we've got a gray plaid jacket. That was one of the items they found at the bus stop. Now, are you saying the murderer wore a gray plaid jacket? No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying it wasn't described as a shirt. It wasn't described as a vest. It was described as a jacket. It was 91 degrees that day. Who was wearing a gray plaid jacket? I don't recall the guy on the roof looking like he was wearing a gray plaid jacket. But it's a data point. It gives us an idea of what's happening. You also, it was about 2:30 p.m. that was found. We also have Officer Falmina. Falmina was on the stand, and she talks about the jacket, but she also talks about gloves in the backpack that were found at the same bus stop, and they were sent for testing initially. We were going to find out who they belonged to. So let's take a quick listen here to Officer Falmina. It's going to be about a minute and a half here, but let's listen to Officer Falmina and see what happens to this evidence.
Yeah, of course. When officers were canvassing the scene, they're also trying to see, the route of the shooter as well as just trying to find the shooter. And they determined that the Fulton Library stood out because there were unattended items there at the bus stops that were away from the courtyard area. And so to them, they thought it was suspicious.
And were certain items seized from, and what were they?
Yes, you had a backpack, a jacket, as well as some gloves. And there may have been some other things. I just don't recall them right now.
And do you recall what the item numbers were of those seizures? Was it 9? Does that ring a bell?
I don't remember.
Whatever was seized was sent to the FBI lab for processing?
Yes.
And along with some information that the suspect may have shed some of these items as he fled, correct?
Yes.
Was a decision at some time made, and you were requesting that both DNA and other type of analysis get done?
Yes.
At some point, did you decide to pull a plug on that?
At the time when it was already sent, we didn't have more information as far as whether or not the evidence that were collected there were probative.
But eventually you communicated to the lab that those items were not in fact connected with the case and there was no need to do further testing.
I don't remember communicating that.
Okay. If that's in the notes of the FBI or the ATF, would that be inconsistent with what you know?
No.
Okay. I mentioned it because some of the reports, the lab reports, have those items listed.
Okay.
I just want to be clear that those items eventually you determined were not related to this case. Would that be fair?
Yeah, that would be fair.
Okay.
So they determine eventually they're not related to the case. And they go on to say that they determined they weren't related because they belong to Charlie Kirk's security, someone with the Charlie Kirk team. It's a little unusual because if you look at the campus map, the bus stop by the library is way far away from where all the action was. It's also way far away from the Losi Center. So if you're saying a crime took place on the Losi Center and a crime took place under the tent, you almost look at it like a large triangle. As far away as the Losi Center is from the tent, the library is like twice as far away, maybe 3 times as far away. It's way down the road. So what the hell are people doing over there? Why are people over there? We find out why they removed them right here. So let me pull this up. This is why they were removed. Falmina did not even know they were removed. This lady will tell us why they were removed.
They did.
Got a backpack, which you labeled as Exhibit 9, and a bunch of items from that backpack. Correct?
Correct, yes.
You were initially told that those items related to things that may have been discarded by the suspect.
So initially, we didn't have any information. So we processed that. Those are items that are good for DNA. Not having any information from the investigators, we process them for DNA. As the investigation continues, it was determined that that backpack was potentially left behind by a bystander, and there was no comparisons needed at that time.
Well, left behind by a bystander, or according to your notes at page 20, the backpack belongs to Kirk's detailees.
Yes, based on the individual that was not my communication log. That was someone else within the laboratory. That was the information that they received.
Again, do you guys prep for these hearings? Like, why are you guys surprised by what's in the report that's right in front of you? Yeah, I would think if something that critical was part of the case, that would be something they would be aware of when they took the stand. Oh, hey, by the way, we sent some items along and we determined they belonged to the Charlie Kirk team. And that's why they weren't tested. Rather than, some innocent bystander just shedding a jacket and throwing it on the ground as they go about their merry way. I mean, do people lose jackets? Sure. Do people lose jackets at bus stops? Yeah, maybe less than lose jackets, generally speaking, overall. Does Charlie Kirk's detail lose jackets while they're out wandering around? I don't know. I mean, wouldn't think so. I don't know why they would, but that's the story and they're sticking to it. Ammo can. So in that original radio call, I'm being told that people were confused by the word ammo can. In that original call, she said they found a jacket and an ammo can in a vehicle. An ammo can is just like a box that you store ammo in. They're pretty universally similar in structure and design. So if you've seen one, you'll recognize others when you come across them. They usually have some sort of a latch and they're rectangular in shape, maybe about yay high, yay big, some smaller than others. But they'll have a latch and you open it up and it'll have an ammo can. There's an ammo can right there. It'll open up. It'll slide open on a lever and you can then access your ammunition. It just keeps it dry, keeps it from being damaged. The last thing you want with ammo is to have it, have stuff banging into it, right? Because that's how you get ammo to go off. You have it bang into something. So you don't want it loose, just bang, 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 stuff crashing into it, getting accidentally struck with a hammer. So you put it in a protective container. And that'll keep it from accidentally discharging and firing, for example, through your bedroom or your window, or your car window or something. So that's what an ammo can is. Obviously, the FBI, when they showed up, were looking at cars and saw an ammo can. I think if you think there's a shooting on campus and you see an ammo can, that becomes relevant, at least in the intermediate term, at least in the short term. So that's what I said. I didn't say camo can, and that's what an ammo can is. It's that. So that's just kind of going back and cleaning that up. So we now have the radio. We now have a description of the jacket. We know what the jacket that was found looks like. It's gray plaid. I will remind you, Butch Hibbs had on some kind of grayish green plaid shirt, but it was a shirt, not a jacket. I don't think Butch wandered over to the library and took his shirt off, but I'm just kind of giving you an idea what I think it might have looked like. That's grayish, greenish gray plaid right there. So let's dig into Officer Bagley. Bagley is terrible. The very first day of his testimony, I got on the air and I said, this guy sucks. He sucks. His descriptions, his memory, his lack thereof is awful. I don't know how they're going to try this case without him, but I know they want to. I can assure you they want to. I know right now the prosecution's looking around going, how can we get rid of Bagley? If they could get rid of Bagley and Twiggs and they could somehow get all that evidence without those two, they would be in much better shape. But they can't. Bagley, I think, is going to be a problem for them because Bagley's low IQ. Bagley's not very smart. He's basically a bumbling fool. And we'll show you an example of it. First, who is Officer Bagley? Let's take a quick look here of the Bagman. Here is Officer Bagley. Charles McClintock Wilson was kind enough to look up while he was at the event and see Officer Bagley up here overseeing the festivities, perched precariously on top of the Hall of Flags. Ironically enough, Bagley's the one guy who is in a position to be able to see the rooftop of the Losi Center. He's probably the only guy in the facility who has a really good look of the rooftop of the Losi Center. But he didn't take advantage of that. I don't know where he was looking at the moment of the guy is up there for like 10 minutes walking around, allegedly assembling stuff. He's army crawling to the edge. He's perched precariously over the ledge of the Losi Center. I don't know what Bagley's looking at this moment. He's got a Bluetooth speaker in his ear. Maybe he's listening to Huey Lewis and the news. I don't know. Is he walking on the thin line kind of guy, or is he like, I need a new drug kind of guy? I don't know which Huey Lewis song is his favorite, but he's got a Bluetooth speaker in his ear. You know, I prefer my officers to be attentive, to understand the lay of the land, to know what's going on in the world. I would much rather them be watching Charlie Kirk or the crowd or the rooftops. But he's listening to Huey Lewis and the news. Almost assuredly, he's listening to Huey Lewis and the news. I can't think of anybody else that he would be listening to. Now, let's go to the testimony here from the bagman himself. Ladies and gentlemen, Officer Bagley.
Another bullet being found on the scene, not on the roof of the Lucy building?
No.
All right, your body cam footage that I reviewed appears to end while you're still on the roof. Do you know why that is?
I think the battery went dead. It was just right at that moment.
Okay. And do you know, did you ever turn it back on that day or go get it? I don't know. What do you have to do? Charge it or stick a new battery in it? I don't even know.
Usually dock it, but no, I didn't go back. It was too chaotic running around.
So that 27-minute and 35-second body cam that starts when you're at the Hall of Flags and ends while you're still on the roof, but haven't put the crime tape up yet. That's the only body cam you have that day?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now have a timeline. 27 minutes and 35 seconds. I was mistaken in giving Officer Bagley the benefit of the doubt that he was recording his whole shift. He was not. 27 minutes and 35 seconds isn't very long, especially when you consider how long it took him to get to the roof in the first place. The Big Bang happened around 12:23 or 12:24. If you calculate what time he got to the roof, the testimony is that he got to the roof at 12:44. So let's do a little math backwards. Let's assume it died the second he got on the roof. 27 minutes and 35 seconds before that, before 12:44, would be 12:17. 6 minutes before Charlie Kirk is taken out. Well, if it died right when he got to the roof, you would have to inevitably ask the question, Officer Bagley, you started your shift at 11. The event started at 12. Charlie Kirk arrives at 12:06. Why at 12:17 did you all of a sudden, 6 minutes before Charlie Kirk goes down, decide to fire up your body cam footage? If it died while he was on the roof, not as soon as he gets to the roof, but while he's on the roof, you have to ask the question, what were you doing for those 6 minutes? That you get to the roof and you're looking around and you're wandering around and you don't spot a screwdriver in those first 6 minutes because we don't have the big screwdriver discovery on the body cam footage. So while you're walking around up there, you don't walk past the screwdriver? It's nowhere to be found? Something's not adding up here. Either you started that body cam footage before Charlie went down, or you were on that roof at least 6 minutes without spotting the one piece of evidence that ties Charlie Kirk to the scene. I mean, it's not a big roof. If you get to the top of the roof and you walk out and if you listen to his testimony, I looked out and I saw what would be a good sniper position, and I noticed there were some disturbances in the rock that could be Converse sneakers and a nice little sniper position. Well, sorry. The one piece that ties Tyler to the scene. Excuse me, I misspoke. But you're telling me you got to the roof and wandered around on the roof for 6 minutes, discovered the sniper position, and did not see a screwdriver? There's nowhere in this body cam footage as you're wandering. I'll give you an idea what the body cam footage looks like. Because we have an image of an officer wearing the exact body cam footage he was wearing that day, in the exact same position he was wearing it. That body cam footage is right there. It's right in the middle of his body. And so if he's walking around the roof for 6 minutes or more, assuming he started the body cam footage after the Big Bang, maybe he started it a minute or two after the Big Bang. So that's now we're up to 7 or 8 minutes. But even if he started exactly where the Big Bang happened, he's got 6 minutes from the time he gets up there at 12:44 before the body cam footage dies at 12:50. That's 27 minutes. 12:51 maybe even. What were you doing, man? 6 or 7 minutes up on the roof? Your body cam footage should have been able to pick up most of the roof. You should be able to see the screwdriver. The fact that you can't is awfully telling. This is Officer Kim. He is most famous for telling people to get back. Get back. That's what he was doing at the moment. Everybody was trying to rush out away from an active shooter. He's keeping them hemmed in the line of fire. Very unusual circumstances. They were carrying Charlie to the SUV. I understand he didn't want people interfering with that, but they were running for their lives. Charlie was not coming back at that moment. The rest of them were still very much in danger. This was like less than a minute afterwards. You have no idea who is causing harm, where they're located. They're trying to get the heck out of there and save their lives. Officer Kim was like, stop, stay in the line of fire. Stay right there. No offense to Officer Kim. I might have handled it differently, but I've never been in that situation. Let's take a closer look at this body cam footage. This body cam footage, we are now, because we have such a good view of what this department uses, we are able to find out precisely what body cam they were using. And it is this right here, the Axon Body 2. The Axon Body 2 body cam. Deployed by more major cities than any other police body camera. Well, and also college campuses. Many agencies count on it to provide clear accounts and to rely on Axon to provide unparalleled support before, during, and after implementation. Well, they don't all count on it, because apparently Officer Bagley is your worst salesperson. He's your worst advertiser. Because if Officer Bagley's to be believed, it's a dud. Yes. We know that they're supposed to have a nice battery life. Here is from the Axon 2 website. The Axon 2, a fully charged camera battery should provide enough power for approximately 12 hours of normal operation, or 27 minutes of normal operation. Give or take. Give or take. It's close. It might be 12 hours. It might be 27 minutes. We're not sure. It's one of those. But what happens? What happens? Do you have any idea when this thing is getting low? Yes, as a matter of fact, this is from the website. Warns of low battery capacity using the battery, LED, and audio signals, meaning Officer Bagboy should have heard and seen that his body cam footage was in dire danger of dying. That's alliteration for you people who don't understand poetry. The infield battery LED is green above 66%, yellow at 66 to 33%, red below 33%, and then blinking red and yellow when critically low. Not to be content with only providing visual warnings that you have a low battery, the audio warning consists of 4 audio beeps. You might have heard them if you didn't have the Bluetooth speaker in your ear, sir. Oh, well, let's assume that Huey Lewis in the News is cranked up to 10 out of 10, maybe 11. He couldn't hear it over Power of Love. Well, in that case, it has haptic vibrations at 20, 10, 20, 15, 10, and 5% battery. Meaning, you can't sit on the stand and say, oh no, I guess it died. I guess the battery died. Immediately before the device shuts down due to low power, it will emit an extra long beep and haptic vibration. Did that happen, sir? Did that happen while you were there? Go back and listen again to how he describes what happened. Did that happen? Does it sound like his battery died? Doesn't it sound like he would have been given a warning via audio, haptic vibration, flashing lights? You would know if your battery's about to die. Take it away, Mr. Bagboy.
Were you aware of another bullet being found on the scene, not on the roof of the Losi building?
No.
All right, your body cam footage that I reviewed appears to end while you're still on the roof. Do you know why that is?
I think the battery went dead. It was just right at that moment.
Yeah. No. That sounds like bull butter. That sounds like classic bull butter. That's like, if I need to ever come up with a glossary for this program and people say, but what is bull butter? I'll say, well, let me show you a clip of Officer Bagboy. Let me show you a clip of Officer Bagboy. Because Officer Bagboy is full of bull butter. I don't know. I guess it died. Well, did you hear an extra long beep? Did you feel haptic vibrations? Did you see flashing LED lights in your periphery? Did the plainclothes guy with an unknown agency and an unknown identification but had a pistol in his hand, did he happen to hear any of this taking place? If you couldn't hear it over hip to be square? If you couldn't feel it because you were rocking it out, hip to be square, dun 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 dun, hip to be square, dun dun. Bagboy, your story sucks. Your story sucks. Do you see what I mean when I say they can't take this case to trial? That I am in grave fear of Tyler Robinson losing his life? You're going to put this guy on the stand to say, I don't know, I guess the battery died. Right before the one piece of evidence that puts Tyler Robinson on the roof. So unfortunate. It's just the worst case. Worst luck. This 12-hour battery lasted exactly 27 minutes and 35 seconds. Dum-da-dum. Do you think a jury's going to buy that? You think the defense is going to let him off with that? You think they're not going to hammer him in closing and say, my friends, you watched a cover-up and you watched it explained from that chair right there? I'll do the closing for that part. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our contention that this guy was framed. Tyler was framed. A very real murder took place, and it's a tragedy. But Tyler didn't do it. Tyler wasn't on that roof. There's only one piece of evidence that ties him to that roof. And right before it was discovered, Officer Bagley says, my battery must have died. That's why you didn't see the moment of the big discovery. But as we saw from the Axon body camera expert, that's nearly an impossible story to buy. You can't believe that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we call bull butter. Because Officer Bagley would have felt haptic feedback at 20, 15, 10, and 5% battery life. He would have heard audible beeps. He would have seen flashing LED lights in his periphery on top of the body cam. He wouldn't have to guess whether his body cam footage died. He would know. He just said he guessed. He guessed? He guessed? Doesn't it seem more likely that it was just trimmed? Because by the time they turned it over, they realized it doesn't show what they claim was up there. Doesn't that make more sense to you? Than a malfunctioning body-worn camera that is designed to last 12 hours? That performs marvelously across police departments all over the country. You heard from the expert from Axon Body Cam. This is one of the most utilized cameras in the business. It doesn't just accidentally die. That's not the way they're designed. It doesn't just stop. That's not the way they're designed. It records. People's lives depend on these things working properly, and they do. And they do. And even if he just happened to miss the 20 and the 15 and the 10 and the 5, guess what? Right as it's shutting down, it goes crazy. It flashes lights. It emits a 4-second long, loud, audible beep, and it shakes like crazy. But he sits up there and he says, I guess it died? No, friends, we're not going to accept that. We're not going to deprive a man of his liberty on the testimony of Officer Bagley. We're not doing that. We're not going to allow it. This guy sucks. He's a disgrace to his badge. If he doesn't know how the body cam footage works, why is he in service? Why is he in service? All right. The backup plan. The backup. I want to show you the tweet. Well, let me get back up a little bit so I can show you Muppet Masher here. I want to show you the guy who identified the guy. I mentioned him last night. I said, there's this guy, Muppet Masher. He's identifying people left and right. Here he is. There was a big question of who this guy was in the red hat and the blue shirt. If you watch the Life is Driving video, he's sort of directing traffic. We could go back and watch it. We played a good bit of it last night when we were watching the destruction of the scene in real time. Guess who was overseeing the destruction of the scene? That guy, Alan Robertson. Guess whose back was to Terrell Farnsworth while he's tearing down the scene and moving the chair and standing in the blood? That guy, Alan Robertson. You'll notice these two plainclothes officers who were overseeing the destruction of the crime scene, who were not preserving the crime scene, but were allowing it to be trampled over, to things to be changed and moved, for valuable evidence to be removed and potentially destroyed. It was these two guys. Look where they work. Utah State University, Utah State University. I want to ask the question, why are they even there? Why are they even there? Well, not content to just be standing under the tent while the evidence is destroyed, they actually go one step further. Here, I'll let Candace from tonight give a brief explanation about this guy.
Who was able to identify the person. It is Officer Alan Robinson from the Utah State University Department of Public Safety, Utah State University. So not even a UVU officer. Now, this guy, in theory, is just supposed to be a part of general reinforcements on that day. A nobody. But I'm excited that we at least get to add this, presumably a nobody, to our ever-growing list of people who are brand new, because he had just joined the USU police force the summer before. Here is the announcement on Facebook. They announced on Facebook that he had joined. And another weird thing that we noted while going back and reviewing that footage, but Alan Robertson, as we're going through all that early footage, he actually seems like he's the person that's immediately in charge. We're going to unpack that further this week. Very weird. We're told he's just some rookie officer from Utah State University who was helping out at the event, maybe some crowd control. It's not even his campus. Why would anyone listen to this dude? It's a good question, right? Why would anyone? I'd be like, this isn't your campus. More importantly, why is Officer Bagley seemingly running cover for the other guy? Let's show them on that rooftop again. Oh,
And there he is on the rooftop. So this Utah State University officer, while Officer Bagley is on the roof, while his body cam footage is miraculously stopping just before the most important piece of evidence is discovered, he's on the roof with Bag Boy. He's on the roof with Bag Boy. So I saw that, and Candace suggested maybe he's there as backup, but he seems to be sort of running the joint. And my mind gets spinning. And I think, wait a minute. If you go back to the original announcement of the American Comeback Tour, I actually have it right here. You go back to the original announcement. Now, it's on the Wayback Machine. They've taken this down. But this is the way, if you come up here to the top right-hand corner, you'll see this is what the website looked like on September 7th, 2025, 3 days before Charlie Kirk passes away. September 7th, the American Comeback Tour. Let's see where they were planning to be. Well, September 10th, Utah Valley University, Prove Me Wrong table. Notice there's no evening event that night. I don't know if that was an oversight. Because a week later, they go to Colorado State University in Fort Collins, Colorado. There is a Prove Me Wrong table, but there's also an evening event you'll see down here. Then they go to the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, September 22nd, for a Prove Me Wrong table, but there's also an evening event. This is more normal, right? You do the tabling during the day, and then everybody gets together that night, and they have sort of a dignified, cleaned up version of a presentation. A couple of days later, out to Virginia Tech, Prove Me Wrong, and then they have an evening event. Now look here, September 30th, Utah State University Prove Me Wrong table. I look at that, and I see a backup plan. We would like to remove Charlie from Earth. We would like to spring him from his mortal coil. And I've never been able to make the connection, but two universities in Utah within a short period of time struck me as a little odd. You know, Utah, and then we'll go to Colorado, we'll go to Minnesota, we'll go to Virginia, back to Utah. Weird. And it wasn't until Muppet Masher identified these guys as Utah State University police officers that I thought, where have I heard that before? Ah, that's where they were going to be 20 days later. And if you go back to the original moments afterwards, you'll see these guys are very much right there. We showed this video last night. I don't want to pull it back up and show it again for the sake of showing it, but they were right there. These two Utah State University police officers were basically coordinating with the TPUSA team. Maybe I should play it. Because it's in light of this that you realize, wait a minute, these guys are doing more than just hanging out. These guys are doing more than just providing coverage after the event. Let's go back to the first time that Adam Bartholomew from Life is Driving, who captured, frankly, remarkable coverage in the immediate aftermath. Let's go back to the very first time that we see him. This is 3 minutes and maybe 45 seconds or so after the event. There's our guy. There's Alan Robertson. You see him? He's all the way on the left right here. That's a Charlie Kirk security guy on the left, and that's Alan Robertson standing right next to him. And they're just chatting it up. They're just hanging out. Now, there's the other guy right there, the blue shirt. These are the two Utah State University police officers. They're the ones closest to the scene. Do you see any other police officers near there other than Jeff Long, the chief of police at Utah Valley University, who's over here next to the American Comeback Tour sign on the left? The two people overseeing the scene are these two guys, Utah State University police officers. And if you let it roll, you could let it roll for a long time. We could let it roll at even a faster pace. But you see, these guys are just the guys that are there. They're the ones who are just hanging out, sort of directing traffic. Look, there they are. One of them's up here still talking to the security guy. Here's the guy in the blue on the lower right-hand side. The guy talking to the security guy's in the red hat next to the tent. This guy in the light blue right here, this hefty fella. Heavy set, I think, in the words of Officer Bagley. He's over here, but the whole scene is just covered up with Charlie Kirk security people and these two Utah State University police officers. It's as if they know what they're doing. People are listening to them. He's over here making calls. This guy from Utah State, now he's over here talking to people on the right-hand side, the guy in the light blue shirt. You can see if we go further to the left, he's got his gun out. He's walking around talking to Terrell Farnsworth as he passes him. This is right before Terrell Farnsworth goes and takes down the camera. Look, he's right next to him. He's the guy. This is the Alan Robertson who was on the roof with Bag Boy. I'll submit to you, if you wanted to pull this off, and maybe the main target was at Utah State University, or maybe that was the backup. This is just me speculating. I'm not suggesting this is fact. This is just me looking at the totality of the circumstances and coming to an opinion. If you wanted to take out Charlie and you wanted to guarantee he was gone, you might not put all your marbles on September 10th. What if it rained? What if some equipment malfunctioned? What if your guy didn't get in place on the Losi Center? What if there was a police officer who'd wandered over to the steps over there and interrupted the whole plan? You'd have to have a backup plan, wouldn't you? You can't put all your marbles in one basket. What if someone steals your basket? I think I ruined that metaphor. I think it's eggs in a basket. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. What if someone steals your basket? You have no eggs left. Then you'd have to go to Utah State University. Well, if you're going to do that anyway, wouldn't it make sense if you're going to have some inside operators that you would need to get them up to speed, briefed, so to speak? And if they're already up to speed and briefed, why not just bring them to the event? Why not just bring them to the first go round? You look at the weather, you say, hey, weather looks beautiful. Looks like we're going to have our team in place. Why don't you guys show up and manage the situation afterward? Make sure that screwdriver gets to the roof. Or even if it doesn't get to the roof, make sure you get up on the roof in case we need later somebody else to say they saw something up there. Maybe Bag Boy is going to be a terrible witness and we're going to need someone else who was up there to kind of corroborate him, give him a little backup. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I can't state definitively that that's what happened. I can't sit here today and say 100% there was a group coordinated effort to kill Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. And if they failed, it was going to take place at Utah State University. But either way, he was not ending September alive. But I can sure look at the totality of the evidence and say, man, this is weird. This is really weird. Two guys who were campus police officers at the place Charlie was going to be at 20 days later happened to be the guys on the scene watching the scene get destroyed and evidence get taken away. They happen to be the guys that are kind of making small talk with the security team and just traipsing all over the crime scene as things are getting moved. They're talking to Terrell Farnsworth right before he moves the chair Charlie Kirk died in, that then stands on it and then removes the camera footage down that recorded the action, that potentially recorded the crowd, that recorded everything that took place behind the table. We're just going to let him take that camera down and walk off with it? We're told he took an SD card out of it, but what if he did something else to it? What if I don't know. What if I have no idea what happened, and neither do you. No one knows what happened. Nobody who believes Tyler Robinson planned and executed Charlie Kirk knows what happened. And who are we to suggest that all he did was take the SD card out? Well, that's what he said. But we're taking it at face value that he's an honest actor. There's no bull butter in his veins. I don't believe Terrell Farnsworth. This is the guy who immediately afterwards, before he took the camera down, he hears the bang. He runs away, presumably fearing for his life. I mean, everybody else seemed to be doing that. And then jumps up on a concrete wall, takes out his camera, and starts filming his reaction. They killed Charlie Kirk. They killed Charlie Kirk. He's dead. Oh, and he happened to be in the perfect position to watch the body be dragged into the SUV on the way out. I don't know, guys. If this was, it's something Julie and I talked about, if this was just Tyler Robinson on the Losi Center roof with Granddad's 30-06, there were some of the worst coincidences of all time that took place in the moments leading up to it and in the minutes afterwards. What a weird coincidence that your body cam footage just happens to die. What a weird coincidence. Nobody happened to be looking at any of the rooftops when everyone acknowledged that the rooftops looked particularly dire. What a weird coincidence that in the immediate aftermath, Terrell Farnsworth runs and jumps on a concrete embankment and starts filming himself, declaring that they got Charlie, they killed Charlie, they shot Charlie. What a weird coincidence that Frank Turek just happens to pull on his hat right before Dan Flood looks at him pulling on his hat and steps forward and touches his upper arm. That's a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence that Terrell Farnsworth just happens to stamp down on the ground for no apparent reason that we can discern right as the bang happens. What a weird coincidence that Philip Goldsberry Jr. just happens to shield his face and eyes right, like a half a second before it happened. What a weird coincidence that Rick Cutler tugs on his sleeve exactly as it happens. Lots of weird coincidences in that moment. It's possible they are just weird coincidences. But the more weird coincidences that we keep identifying, the more, and frankly, it's a weird coincidence that Charlie Kirk was supposed to be at Utah State University 20 days from now. And those are the two cops kind of overseeing the scene as it's being destroyed. That's a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence. The more weird coincidences that pop up, the more you start wondering, were these coincidences at all? Were these coincidences at all? Or was there some sort of cascade of checkoffs? Hunter Kozak just happened to look at Brian Harpole and pull down on his glasses. What a weird coincidence. Frank Turek just happened to go to his hat and grab his hat to adjust it and then scratch his face. What a weird coincidence. Did Dan Flood just happen to look at him doing that and then look the other way and then step forward and touch his arm like milliseconds before the bang happened? What a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence. I don't by any means suggest I know exactly what happened. I don't by any means suggest that all of these people were involved in some capacity. But if we're going to talk about weird coincidences, what a weird coincidence that Andrew Colvett just happened to run a pre-record for the second hour of the Charlie Kirk show that day. Well, that's a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence that an airplane just happened to fly from Provo, Utah to where Andrew Colvett lives, Santa Barbara, and then to Scottsdale, just in time for someone to catch a plane from Scottsdale to Provo. What a weird coincidence. Who was on that plane? What a weird coincidence that somebody at the airport tells Candace Owens that he cannot confirm or deny whether Erica Kirk was in his office or in his building the moment it happened. What a weird coincidence. Why wouldn't he be able to say no? Why would you think she was here? We sell airplanes. We're an airplane brokerage. If you want a commercial aircraft, you come to the right place. If you are looking for Erica Kirk, that's nonsense. Why would she be here? What a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence that when she's challenged on where she was the evening of September 8th, she provides an alibi for where she was the day of September 9th. A weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence that Blake Neff says initially he spent the night in Orem, Utah. And later realizes the gravity of that implication and decides, no, in fact, I was in Salt Lake, Utah. What a weird coincidence. And what a weird coincidence that there was a bald man seen driving a Dodge Challenger in Orem, Utah that night. And he had 3 passengers. What a weird coincidence that Blake Neff shows up at the hospital with 3 passengers. Danny Phillip, Mikey McCoy, and Nate Walker. What a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence that Blake doesn't know where he went when he flew into Salt Lake City that morning. Despite the fact that there were planes coming from Scottsdale to Provo, he decides to go from Scottsdale to Salt Lake on the earlier flight, but doesn't know where he went after landing. Got in a car, marked time. What a weird coincidence. What a weird, weird coincidence. This is this cascade of weird coincidences. Everybody seems to have an imperfect recollection of just about everything. And at some point, you have to stop and ask yourself, are these coincidences? What a weird coincidence that we happen to catch a Dodge Challenger at the scene, but we can't get a clear image of the person exiting the Dodge Challenger. What a weird coincidence that the guy who is the boyfriend, alleged boyfriend, purported boyfriend of Tyler Robinson can't identify him with a reasonable degree of certainty initially when he sees 6 pictures of his face. What a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence that he wasn't available to testify. What a weird coincidence that he just happened to take a picture of the pre-confession, the pre-event confession note. He just took a picture of it. And what a weird coincidence that he has no idea what happened to it, but it ended up burned. Can't find the note. Someone set it on fire. Who? I don't know. I never saw it again. I don't think I ever saw it again. What a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence that Lance Twiggs' DNA is all over all the evidence. That's weird. What a weird coincidence that Tyler Robinson's DNA is the most degraded of all the DNA. That's a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence that they took the caution tape down shortly before midnight when the purported arrival of Tyler Robinson was around 12:47 p.m. to go back to the scene of where the rifle was recovered. And then they put the caution tape back up the next day. That's a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence that they find items at the Losi Center, or at the library bus stop. And they send them off for DNA testing because they seem suspicious. What a weird coincidence that it just happened to be one of Charlie Kirk's security people, his detailees, they said. That's weird. That's weird. What a weird coincidence that Mikey McCoy was supposedly the general in charge of everything, the admiral. And then later it comes out that we see video footage. He doesn't show up for a long time afterwards. I thought he was barking orders. Thought he was the man of the hour. A weird coincidence. A really weird coincidence. There's too many weird coincidences for me. I sit back and I look at this and I think, no, this is too many weird coincidences. What a weird coincidence that we were told for 10 months that Tyler Robinson confessed to his parents, and that was one of the main reasons why we knew he was guilty. And then when it came time to put up or shut up, they shut up because they didn't put Tyler Robinson's parents on the witness list and they didn't call them to the preliminary hearing. And so we are pretty safe to believe he didn't tell them that. And that's not why he turned himself in. What a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence that when he did turn himself into the Washington County Sheriff's Office, that video footage just happens to be unavailable. That's weird. What a weird coincidence that a local news station asked for a copy of that, I believe, because everybody in town was saying he did not turn himself in at 9. He turned himself in well before 7 o'clock. And so they asked for the footage so they can answer the question once and for all, what time he turned himself in. And the Washington County Sheriff's Office refused to turn it over. And then when they refined the request and broadened their request to in an attempt to get anything, Washington County says, oh, doggone it, it's beyond our retention period. What a weird coincidence. They just happened to delete the footage. That was their story. And then what a weird coincidence when we find out they didn't delete it at all. They still had it. We saw a piece of it at the preliminary hearing. They lied. What a weird coincidence that they lied to the news media about whether or not they had that footage. What a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence that somebody at Cowboys Steakhouse in Panguitch, Utah, close to 10 o'clock p.m., identifies Tyler Robinson by voice, by face, remembers what he ate, remembers what time he left, produced a receipt. What a weird coincidence. Because according to his text messages, he was supposed to be sitting back in Utah monitoring the scene, trying to recover the rifle. What a weird coincidence. For an open and shut case, there are a lot of weird coincidences. And at a certain point, you got to throw up your hands and say, guys, this needs to be investigated a little better. I mean, frankly, what a weird coincidence that one of Tyler Robinson's lawyers is related to one of the people who was there that day, allegedly. I don't know that I've ever seen proof of that, but it's stated so often as fact, and I'm not aware of anybody ever saying that's not true. That's a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence that the medical examiner, his wife, cosplays as a furry. So does Tyler's live-in cosplays as a furry. That's what we're told. What a weird coincidence that is. How many medical examiners' wives are furries? I mean, it's not a lot of them. I think Joseph Scott Morgan told me there were like 600 in the country. What are the odds that one of them is married to a furry who writes scholarship on furrydom? What a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence, all these new people. What a weird coincidence that the special agent in charge in Utah was fired not terribly long before this and a new one was installed. What a weird coincidence that we have a brand new judge who was just appointed by the governor. What a weird coincidence. This is all weird. And so when people sit back and sort of ask questions, frankly, what a weird coincidence that all these weird Google searches were done ahead of time. That's weird. That's really weird. That identify people by name who were there that day or affiliated in some capacity with this story. What a weird coincidence that Charlie Kirk's medical records were transferred to University Hospital in Provo. Why? Is this normal? Is this something that hospitals routinely do, is sort of bomb their medical records into someone else's system, unaware, for no reason whatsoever? In the age of HIPAA? In the age of everybody protect medical records at all costs, we're just going to fire off patient medical records to emergency departments in other cities for no apparent reason. People who've never been to that hospital, who are now dead and will never go to that hospital. We're just going to bomb his medical records over there. Why? That's really weird. What a weird coincidence that at the moment it happened, an elderly gentleman named George Hodgson Zinn stands up and starts screaming, I did it, I did it, I did it, and is tackled, and all the police response goes to him. Well, that's a weird coincidence. What a weird coincidence that Jack Hibbs's brother was one of the first people to announce that he was there. Jack Hibbs's brother was there, and then Jack Hibbs is one of the first people to announce that Charlie Kirk has passed, and Victor Marx, and Benjamin Netanyahu. That's weird. That's weird. When you look at all of it, when you put the whole story together, yeah. Tyler's DNA's on the gun. We get that. We understand that. Trust me, bro. We got that. Yeah. Tyler lived in that house, and so his DNA is on the tools and the towels. We got it. Do you have any explanation for all the rest of this stuff? The totality of all these weird coincidences, when you put them all together, does anybody's red flags and alarm bells start going off and saying, yeah, what the hell's going on here? What's happening here? Why are all of these weird coincidences happening? What a weird coincidence. They paved over the crime scene 5 days later, dug it up the following day or a day after. That's weird. That's weird. What a weird coincidence that they stripped the SUV and sold it like immediately. What a weird coincidence that Frank Turek told a police officer, you can't have this piece of evidence. I'm giving it to his wife. What? That's his story. I believe we've played it on air. That Frank Turek discovers the necklace that Charlie was wearing when he died. that I very much think should be in evidence. And he was asked by a police officer to hand it over, and he said no. That's his story. I don't know how anyone looks at this and says, yeah, open and shut. Open and shut. No question, open and shut. What are we even doing? Why are we even having a trial? Go ahead and stick a needle in his arm right now. We are bloodthirsty and we want this man dead. That's what they're telling you. And they want to disregard every one of these coincidences and 100 more just like them. I'm not willing to look the other way. I look at this and I think, no, this case is very much not open and shut, and we owe both Tyler Robinson and Charlie Kirk a thorough examination in what exactly the hell happened. I mean, frankly, if you're going to go on to weird coincidence, what a weird coincidence that Chrissy shows up with mints exactly as Tyler Robinson's leaping over the wall and getting into place. And Brian Harpole just doesn't eat the mints, puts the mints in his pocket, looks around, checks out his security team, and then repositions himself closer. So he has a more direct line. I don't know if it's so he has a more direct line, but he positioned himself in a place where he had a more direct line to get behind the table in the shortest amount of time possible. That's a weird coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. That is weird. I don't know how you look at all this and not be remotely curious about the answers to any of these questions. I haven't even gone into the fact that there were X accounts and Discord chats about something's going to happen to Charlie and this and that. I don't know how common that was. Charlie was a pretty high profile public figure. Maybe that kind of chatter happened all the time, every time he went anywhere. I don't know. But you don't even need stuff like that to say, hey, this needs to be investigated a little more closely. We need to take a little closer look at all this stuff. And what a weird coincidence. I'll end my coincidence chain with this. What a weird coincidence that social media was activated in what I believe is an unprecedented fashion to attack anyone investigating this, to call them names, call them stupid, call them demonic, evil, accuse them of crimes, just because they want to know the answer, just because they want to know what the hell's going on. Just because they look at these coincidences and think, yeah, these should be looked at. I mean, if they're just coincidences, there's going to be good explanations for all of them. So let's just ask the question. Where were you? Why'd you do that? And instead, what we get is a relentless assault on anyone asking these very basic questions. Very, very basic questions. A relentless assault. It's I think, unprecedented in a crowdsourced investigation. I've watched a few of these unpack. I was around for the Adnan Syed investigation. My sister was eaten up with that, Nurse Casey. And so I saw and talked to her about what she was learning, and I got a little involved in it and looked at a little of the stuff as it was happening. And I don't recall anybody jumping online and saying anybody looking into the murder was evil and demonic and deserved to go to jail or was somehow going to be, I mean, I just don't recall that happening. Everyone was like, well, did he do it or not? Let's figure this out because we've got somebody in prison for life and we probably want to make sure we got the right guy. And if we don't, we should not have him in jail for the rest of his life. He's already been there 20 years. We should get this guy out of there if he didn't do it. I mean, that's pretty basic. This coordinated, relentless, frankly, 100% pro-Zionist position that Tyler Robinson killed and planned and executed Charlie Kirk by himself with a 30-06 from the Losi Center roof. I'm not aware of anybody who's opposed to the Iran war who believes that. It's like 1-to-1. It's only those people who are really pushing that narrative. That's weird. That's weird. You figure if it's a psyop, they'd throw like 5 or 10 people in there who are against the Iran war who also would be sort of paid to go out there and push the Tyler Robinson narrative, but there just aren't any. I mean, there's just none. And none that I can find. Maybe some offhanded person here or there, but there's not like a coordinated group of them. It's like, do you believe we should obliterate all Persian people? Yes. Do you believe Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk? Yes. Yes to both answers. Absolutely. Yeah, so you've rarely find anybody with a split opinion on those two issues. Leads me to believe they're related. I hate to do it, but if you've not liked the program, please do. It's the easiest thing you can do. Just tap a button. If you're watching by TV, I think you might have to hit an option or a down arrow or something, but you can go and click the like button. That helps the program quite a lot. Helps the distribution, lets YouTube know you enjoyed what you saw. If you've not subscribed, now's a great chance. Go hit the subscribe button. While you're there, you can click the down arrow. It'll give you an option to click notifications. You can click all, and you'll know every time we go live. I really don't post videos, so there's no other notifications. I'm not going to like bomb you with notifications. Really, the only time you'll be notified is when I'm going live. And 30 minutes maybe before I go live. The other thing you can do is join the program. If you go to the members page and hit join, it's a small nominal monthly amount, but it gives you access to all the members content and live member shows in real time. I haven't decided yet if tomorrow will be a member show or if I'm going to wait until Friday. The reason I would wait until Friday is I traveled a lot. I was up very early Saturday, traveled all day, slept poorly Friday night rather. Traveled all day, traveled early Friday, was up all night Friday night, slept very poorly, and then up early Saturday, and then did not get to bed till like 2 a.m. Sunday morning, early to church, and then did a show last night and a show today. And I'm afraid my body may be tired tomorrow and may not have the energy to do a member show. If I do, I'd rather do it tomorrow. So if you join the member side, you'll have access to that, whether it's tomorrow or Friday. But you'll also get access to all the prior members content. And there's a lot of good members content out there. If I do say so myself, some interviews, some solo shows, and we have a lot of fun on those. So you'll be edified if you do that. As always, I'd like to take an opportunity to go through a few of your comments. I will get to as many as I possibly can before we shut down the show for the night. And I will start with Mona. I had when I went to daycare when I was little, I think my daycare teacher was named Mona, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that, but I think it was. I was in London last week, but never missed your show. My humble host. Oh, that's a real fan. You other people that travel and say, I would have watched, but I was traveling. Hey, remember Mona. No, I'm kidding. Enjoy your time off. But if you happen to catch the show, even better. Watched you on Julian Dory today. So good. Can't wait for tomorrow's episode. You rock, my B. I want to say that he's releasing the second part of that interview on Wednesday. I want to say it's going to be Wednesday. So you may be off a day. We got a gifted member. All that member benefit I was just talking about, it just fell on someone's head. They didn't even know that was going to happen. I officially joined the 46-year-old club today. Oh, it's a great club. I'm in it right now. We'll high five each other at the club table. So now that we're the same age, your I'm old privileges are suspended until you turn 47. Thank you for sharing your time with us, Baron. Christ is King. Love it. Jackie. Jackie, 46 has never felt better. Never been better than it is right now. Outstanding interview with Julian Bravo. Even though I've watched every one of your episodes since Google Trends, I still learned so much. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you've not watched it and you're at all remotely interested in some of my thoughts on other topics, it's there's a lot in there about the history of. I didn't know we were going here. I had no idea what we were going to talk about. He didn't give me an agenda. He didn't say we're going to cover these issues. He just said, "Hey, you want to come do an interview?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Maybe I should ask next time. But he asked me a lot about the development of my political philosophy, sort of with a little more rigor about some of the jobs I've had in the past, what I learned each stop along the way. It's really pretty thorough. He's a great interviewer. But Baron, hello from Southwest Michigan. Okay. Thank you for your persistence. In the end, it affects us all. None of us are safe if the system doesn't work. I agree. I looked at the video of Tyler on the roof and compared it to Google Maps. I cannot place him between the structure seen on the left and the white vent on the right with a line of sight to CK. Love what you do, Baron. You may have trouble with it spatially, but I can assure you when I looked at it, it made perfect sense to me. I could be wrong and you could be right. Maybe you're wrong and I'm right, but it made sense to me where they put them. Tip 1/4 to grand jury from a chapter 13 counter rather than super chats of X99, a penny more can help. $4.99 get 50 characters, $5 get 150 characters. Oh, wow. A penny saved is a penny earned, though. So you got to kind of balance those two. Someone say Tesla, Motley Crue, Slaughter. Best album goes to Queensryche, Operation Mind Crime. Love you, fella rocker. I had that album when I was a kid. Is that the one with Silent Lucidity on it? That was a great song. The 4K I want to see is Tyler reconning the roof before the shot and the roof while TPUSA was setting up to see if someone was up there then. That's a good one. Tip 2 of 4. My new favorite toy, tool, electric fly swatter. Great indoors and out, fruit flies, house flies, mosquitoes, even huge hornet, all dispatched. That's a good tip. I don't know where I'd be without that. Theory. Ally gifts golden pager as threat to Trump. They'll do to us as Hezbollah. Infiltrated electronic supply chain, wants TikTok to keep people looking at their phones. Charlie was proof. And a demo as Butler wasn't enough. That's a theory. That was a great interview. Julian needs to clean up his language. Thanks for being a great role model. Christ is king indeed. He has a potty mouth. To each his own. But Baron, you absolutely butchered my name yesterday. It's Barca, pronounced Barcha. But hearing capers made me laugh so hard. Oh, I see what you're saying. Thanks for another great episode and a laugh. God bless you. And Christ is king indeed. Let me try it now. Barcha Perutkova. I don't speak those languages, ma'am. Tip 3 of 4. Gave before when Super Chats froze. Several in grand jury fighting fertility. Oldest son and wife had issues. Both fertile, then tried expensive IVF, failed twice. Then wife read about celiac, stopped gluten. I now have 2 granddaughters. Well, that's a tip for the jury there. I'm getting back on wheat. No, I'm just kidding. Miss Coleman, I'm kidding. Join me for a pizza. Bravo, my beat, for an excellent interview with Julian. Thank you. I appreciate that. You're part of the most organic movement in my lifetime. 52 short years. The manner you orate pulls people in. Your honesty is admirable. And we, the jury, are here because of you. Bless you and the crew. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Very kind of you. And speaking of crime scene destruction, time to call back Andy Marr and whoever else at DFCM. They need to speak out or be exposed. No one called me back. I left messages with all of them. I could try again. I still have that list of numbers. Tina Maple's out here dropping membos on people's heads. Look at that. Finally catching my first live. I usually listen on Spotify while I deliver mail. Christ is king indeed. Welcome to the live program. Spotify has been a tremendous partner. They're very, very kind to your humble host. And I encourage people that catch replays. A lot of people have Spotify premium memberships. You can watch over there. No commercials. Now, I'm not telling you not to watch the lives. I'm just giving you options for after the fact. Are we sure Charlie was put in the SUV he arrived in? Or was he put into the SUV Phillips and Neff arrived in? I don't know. I think he was put in the one he arrived in because Blake Neff's, I think, was the farthest one closest to the tent. Tina dropping another membo right on someone's noggin. Tip 4-4. Cottonelle wet wipes are flushable. Yeah, but they smell. I don't like scents. This ain't his first rodeo. Yeah, that was the money line. You watched Julian Dory. You watched it. I think the conversation with Joseph Scott Morgan is going to be pretty good. I think there'll be tremendous value to this investigation as a result of that interview that's coming up Wednesday, I think. I already have montages in my head that I want to put together once it comes out. Trust me. I had a plan going in, executed it to perfection. That sounded arrogant. That's not what I meant to say. I thought it was a pretty good interview. You're amazing on Julian Dory, watching from rainy Newport, Rhode Island on vacation. Feel like he was loving chatting with our humble host. Christ is King indeed. I was loving chatting with him. It was a good conversation. It's my birthday. Keep going, Max. Christ is King indeed. Happy birthday, Bad Love. Please forward email on gratitude to Daisy. You ordered me around? You're my mom? I'll see you too. I'll see if I do. I'll try. Good to see you elevate the discussion and have civil discussions with those who have a different opinion. God bless, and Christ is King indeed. Neuroragist. I don't believe there's any other way to have these conversations. They've got to be elevated. We can't exist in this realm of constant bitterness and fighting and angst. That's where Frank Turek is living right now, and it's eating away at his soul. He needs to get out of that space. William, wow, thank you, man. What a monster donation! Thank you very much. Why will no one examine the obvious trajectory? Ooh, what is it? From below. Oh, that's why. I don't think people buy it. Let's look though. Let's read your evidence here. The projectile goes through the black plastic for the seat. Well, I think right there you'd lose because I don't think it did. That seat looked fairly unmolested afterwards. There's a picture of it on its side, and you can see the bottom of it. I don't see a hole in it, but I will read on. I will read on. Straight from rectum to spine at C7. Did I read that right? Rectum nearly killed him. Oh, sorry. Through his rectum? Okay, I'll keep reading. Bone, frag, exit neck. Heart is stopped, muzzle blast, and shockwave. We're all vertical. Charlie Kirk's abdomen lifted 9 inches on impact, not backwards as if he was shot from the front. So we agree on the last sentence. It's totally inconsistent with a gunshot from the front. You and I are on the same team there. If what you're saying is true, then the autopsy report should read drastically different than it does. Now, it's possible that the autopsy report is wrong, but it would have to be very wrong. It just totally falsified at that point. And I think the evidence is going to rest on that chair. You're, William, more than welcome to look. I've looked. I don't see a hole in the chair, and there are pictures of the chair. But thank you for that. Thank you. Very kind. But Baron, I say this with most love. Oh, you remind me so much of Foghorn Leghorn. Boy, I said, boy, I've been trying to place it for weeks. Also, JD show was superb. Christ is King indeed. Foghorn Leghorn? You must have caught my Brian Harpole speech. Mr. Harpole! That's on the Clips channel, by the way. Baron Coleman Clips. Cheap, shameless plug there. It's on YouTube. We got a great editor. He puts up great stuff every day. Mr. Harpole! That was more Foghorn Leghorn. Do I sound like that normally? Ugh. To work on my diction. Does anyone have an archive of CK's past events? Even the ones TPUSA has deleted. By the way, excellent job on JD. I cried hard a few times. It was needed. Cried? What did you cry for? I didn't mean to make anyone cry. Are they deleting his old shows? His old events? I hope that's not true. I really enjoyed the Julian Dory podcast. You were great. Cannot wait for the next one. Thank you. Very kind of you. Very, very kind. Do you think the Earth is headed towards some kind of global geophysical event involving either the sun or Earth's magnetic field? Potentially. I mean, headed, yes. When? I don't know. Like within our lifetimes, I can't say. Will there eventually be some sort of polar shift? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the next North Pole could end up on the equator for all we know. I mean, it could be anywhere. When it does, mountains will be formed in minutes or days, hours potentially. A wall of water about a mile or two high will sweep over the land at about 1,000 miles an hour, and everything you've ever built or tried to store will instantly be destroyed in a second. It's happened before. There's evidence of it. Look up the boneyard in Alaska. There's bones that just shouldn't be there, and certainly not in that quantity. There are whole islands made up of basically bones that shouldn't be there, at least not in that quantity. So it's happened before. I'm not a believer in the Ice Age. I think the ice age was just the pole at a different location. The most recent ice age, the pole was probably in the Hudson Bay. And as a result, the polar ice cap was down over like central Indiana, on around that way. At the time, Alaska had a relatively temperate climate. So if the pole was at the north and we are experiencing ice age, why is that Alaska doing so well? It's because they were farther from the pole. That's a show for a different day, I guess. But yeah, I mean, are we headed there? Yes. When? Nobody knows. JD was fantastic. Was. You don't like the way I say was. Thank you. I appreciate that. Great interview with Julian Dore. You were giving Major L. Woods energy. You got into Harvard Law? What? Like it's hard? I did not go to Harvard. Don't confuse the masses. Frank, the turd that won't flush. Yeah. That's Frank. Love my new allegedly shirt from Daggett, California. Christ is King indeed. I'll give you number one out there. I'm not heard from anyone else. Really enjoyed your show with Julian. Great job. Well, thank you. Today's my wife's birthday. Please give Renew a shout out. Renew. Happy birthday. You're renewing another year. Oh, boom. Fam, let's pool talents together and make a real life instrument and voices original Baron podcast song. Let me know. I will not be on the recording. Maybe the plainclothes officers, Haycock and Robertson, were running cover for Terrell Farnsworth to snag the cameras. Was that? Hold on. Was that the right answer? Yeah, Haycock. Yeah. Oh, the girl he tagged. Oh, I'm sorry. There's apparently someone else identified him first. Here, I'll show you this. This was back in June. I give her all the credit. I did not know. I just cited Muppet because that's where I saw him. These two guys are Utah State Police Officer Alan Robertson and Chris Haycock. She misspelled Alan, but we're going to forgive her. Thanks, Daisy, for dropping the note in there. Always eager to give credit where credit is due. I believe they may have been running quite a bit of cover. I don't know. I mean, just a guess. And collab with Julian was amazing. 2 high IQ men. Waiting for it to drop was like a kid waiting for Santa Christmas Eve. Best gift all year. Well, there's more where that came from. If you like Joseph Scott Morgan, he'll be in there too. I still hate the worthless gifts. They have not disappeared. They are a scam. Very low IQ. Well, the problem is I went back and added up the amount that they've contributed to the program, and most people would not walk past that amount laying on the ground every show. Like if you walk past and there was $25 laying on the show, are you just going to walk past it? Your humble host wouldn't. So I get it. They're annoying. I kind of think they'll run their course because the number is going down considerably over time. It may not even be 25 anymore. It might be like 10. But it's going down every show, not every show, but over time the trend is down. So I think they'll eventually work their way out of the system. I'm an only child, and I was wondering how snacks work in big families. Are they rationed, or does everyone have to take their fair share? I mean, snacks are handed out. You don't just put a snack bowl out and say, no, I mean, if that's rationing, then yeah, they're rationed. But, like say you got a big jug of animal crackers. You don't just put it on the table and say, have fun. And put a few in each a bag and hand it out, or a few in a bowl and hand it out. Yeah, that's how it works. Otherwise, they'll eat you out of house and home. My kids are a little bit like a plague of locusts. Like you bring in the groceries and you hear a buzzing sound as they're sort of working through the initial offering. I guarantee you, try to buy a bag of chips in a house with 10 people. Try. You can't. They don't make them big enough. A bag of chips is like a 10-second proposition at our house. Great show with Julian. Looking forward to next one. Oh, thank you. Frank the Yanker and Banker is such a rhymes with Yanker, but starts with W. Is that what you're suggesting? Adding to last night, North New Jersey is like a New York City suburb with the same accent. As a South New Jersey native, the two are totally different. South Jersey has huge farms, top produce in the country, and feels a lot like East Tennessee, minus the hills. Yeah, nothing says East Tennessee like Camden. Nothing. Camden and Atlantic City. Boy, I just think of Knoxville when I think of those two. I think of Sparta, Cookville, very rural Camden and Atlantic City. I believe you. I believe you. But Baron, great bipedals, all 8 of them. Yeah, I've got octopus legs, apparently, according to Daisy. Appreciate you and Daisy Crisis King indeed. Thank you. Thank you. We've seen so many people reenacting the shot with different targets, but I've yet to see any man wearing skinny jeans trying to shove a 42-inch Mauser 30-06 down their pants to show how it would look. Christ is king indeed. We have seen some people try to shove a Mauser down, or at least a 30-06 down different types of pants. I don't know about skinny jeans. We probably ought to also say down a skinny shirt. The shirt was pretty, as far as shirts go, kind of tight. Looked like a bug shirt. Hearing you swear was odd. By the way, nice legs. When did I swear? Did I swear on the show? I don't think I did. I have said a foul word or two in my day, but I don't think I did. But yeah, I have legs. Most of you didn't know that. Did you see Lauren the Mortician's video? I did. I appreciate her being kind to you, but still disagree with some things she said. I'm not going to respond to it. I thought about doing a show and responding to it. I'm not going to, simply because my conversation with Joseph Scott Morgan is so much more in depth than what she discussed. I will be interested to see if she will do a reaction video to that. I might reach out to her and see and just say, hey, there's something coming that's going to be much more thorough. I learned a lot from Joseph Scott Morgan about the autopsy process, the investigation process, timing, and he went through like line by line of how long each item takes. It's a very thorough interview. Very thorough interview. I say I went through it with him. We all went through it together. And, I'm not a person who believes I know everything. I have thoughts and opinions, and in the absence of hard knowledge, I will voice them, and sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong. She disagreed with my opinions. I don't care. She was very kind, and I don't mind people disagreeing with me at all. She didn't call names. She didn't say I was evil or demonic or needed capital punishment. She just said, hey, based on my experience, I think what he said was wrong. Here's why I disagree with him. Okay, great. Have fun. If you've never heard of Buteyko breathing, it is incredible. Reverse my mom's severe asthma and my sleep apnea. Short exercises that reverse all the symptoms. I hope it can help you as well. Pull that up. Right. Sit up straight. Well, I'm out. Oh, sorry. Breathing normally. Okay. Record your pulse and the time you can hold your breath. Oh, I can hold my breath a long time. If I'm supposed to hold it the whole time, release any tension in your body. Oh. Inhale and exhale. Hold your breath. Hold your breath until you feel the urge to breathe. Repeat, resume normal breathing, and repeat. All right, I'll try it. But I can hold my breath a long time. Like a couple of minutes. Like I can fight that urge to breathe, baby. I can really get in there and hold my breath a long time. I get really dizzy afterwards, but I can do it. I've done it before. I'll do it again, apparently. I'll keep it pulled up. I'll look at it. I'm not opposed. Thank you. Baron, today I am 3 months sober. White-knuckled it alone. What a journey. Grateful to have the devil off my back. Your story and words of strength helped me in the times I felt so alone. Thank you, sir. What a wonderful story. One of my very favorite things about this show is people improving their lives. Nothing I've done. I mean, I think it's just the community as a whole. We come together and support each other. So thanks for sharing your win there. Is it possible that Frank T took off his Freedom shirt in the car and they cut CK's off and put Frank Turek's on him? Get that off him. Erasing evidence of blast. Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Good eye, Baron from Australia. Blind man's dog can see the BS that's being spun by TPUSA. Their day will come, thanks to the Justice for Charlie League. Candace put it nicely today. They're already like a shell of themselves. So I think their justice is already coming. Any thoughts put into you and Daisy doing an Oak Island themed members show? I've actually looked into Oak Island before. I'm not opposed to that. Number one fan in St. George, Utah. I didn't know that's where you were, Jilly Beans. I'm sure you know this, but the jail here is called Purgatory. I did not know that. Utah Strange. The LDS Church has hands in everything. I've heard. Thank you and the other truth warriors for inspiring others to use their God-given gifts to further pursue the truth. Despite said pursuit being uncomfortable, stay safe. I will stay safe. Christ is king indeed. My biscuit. RBP. Thank you. I appreciate that. Ivan. Oh, I stopped watching Julie and Dory to be here. Hey, Helen. Ain't no screw worth $1,000. GBC, glad you're back from the Garden State. Gary, God bless you, you big dummy. Oh, that's Ivan's opinion, Gary. It's Ivan's opinion. Christ is king indeed. I don't think he's the only one that thinks that, but it is his opinion. It is his opinion. Thank you. The Garden State was very welcoming. People swearing CK is not absent human form are insufferable. I don't know about insufferable. I just strongly disagree with them. Baron, been watching from Australia since the beginning and absolutely love you and your content, but I die a little bit inside every time you do an Aussie accent. It's truly terrible, mate. That's not a knife. It's a knife. Yeah, you're right. I just got your Joe rant again. Hilarious. I like your hair this length best. Christ is king indeed. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment. Very kind of you. One of two regarding the VFT and EL episode. In the video of TR jumping off the building, he doesn't run behind the structure they thought was to his left. What if one person in the shooter position and a second to swap out the Spider-Man ledge? Oh. Let me go back. Doesn't he run behind the structure? That was to his left. Yes, he does run behind that structure. So yeah, it could be, I guess. But then where did he go? Whoever that was. Could they have obliterated vertebrae by sticking something into the wound, using a bit of delicate violence to finish off an otherwise botched mission? That would be pretty violent. I don't know about that. Slovenian ancestry with great-grandpa who rescued people out of Yugoslavia between World War I and II, bringing them to USA. I traced his trips on ship manifests, including the sister ship of the Titanic. Loved opening statement. You talking about the Olympus? The Olympic? The Olympus. Olympus. It's one of those. That was the sister ship. My daughter attends Utah State University. My husband and I went to the event after Charlie Kirk's death, and it was an odd event. And Cox unliked and disapproved of. People clearly didn't trust him and didn't want him there. He's all bad. Well, I don't know about all bad, but he's a weirdo. Chicken adobo for dinner. It was great. That is all. Oh, good. Don't know what I would have done without knowing that, Mr. Calm. Shawnee. Look at you, Shawnee. Always humbling the humble host. Excellent interview with Dorian. Really insightful. Moved right along and left me wanting more, which is, I'm sure, why there's a part 2. Good job, both of you. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I've seen a few of his shows and I was aware of his style, but I wasn't sure where he was going at times, and he always had a really good question to follow up the previous really good question. You did a good job. Thank you very much, by the way. Thank you. Thank you, Baron, for all your hard work. You and Daisy are just awesome. Keep going, Max. Christ is king indeed. Hi, my B. Number one fan from Brooklyn, New York. Love what you do. Go, Max. Christ is king indeed. Brooklyn, or New York is our number one market. I don't know how that happened. I mean, it's a big city, but by volume, it's the number one market. Is there any truth to TR being in protective custody on Blank Watch? Jesse on Fire posted a video about it today. Haven't seen anything since. Yeah, there's a video of Candace floating around of her saying that. I think it was from months ago. I don't know why it started making the rounds again recently. I could be wrong. Maybe maybe I misremembered that and she didn't do that months ago and this was all brand new. But I thought it was months ago she said all that. I don't know what the truth is right now. It's been 3 weeks since my sweetheart died. Hiking accident while on search and rescue. I haven't functioned right since. Pray for our families, please. Oh my gosh. I absolutely will. Man. Well, he died being a hero, searching and rescuing. That's tragic. I'm so sorry to hear that. We love your show. I give my husband a summary daily. I called you Barry by mistake the other day, and my husband stopped me abruptly and said, "Excuse me, it's Baron, not Barry." Now I know he listens to me. He listens very closely. Christ is King indeed. I get called Barry a lot by people that don't know my name and hear it and think I say Barry. A few weeks ago, you referred to Colvette and Company as Sons of Biscuits. Now my fiance only knows you as, what time is that Sons of Biscuits on tonight? Sons of Biscuits. Yeah, they are, though. They are. Old Frank 6'1" stocky man contorted over that back seat twice in the Denali to and from the cargo. Can he demonstrate this, please? Well, he wasn't in the cargo. He was in the third row seat. And I don't know that I want to watch him demo it. Asking for prayers for my 22-year-old special needs son. His father, my ex-husband and still dear friend, is currently on hospice and nearing the end. Oh, my goodness. My sweet son is really struggling with losing his dad. I imagine he is. That can't be easy at any age. I'm sorry to hear that. Very sorry to hear that. I'll definitely pray for you and him. 1969. I was a baby with a fever with my parents in emergency room at Cook County Hospital in Chicago when they brought in Fred Hampton, murdered by CPD, high-profile killing, hospital still not locked down. That was 1969. I don't know what the what the current going rate for lockdowns is. A different era. Outstanding job on Julian. Love you and your show every day. Thank you for all you do for us. Christ is King indeed. Thank you, Carrie Knightley. Very kind. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Ugh, Frank. Jezebel was a widow and God had other plans for her outcome. Read your Bible. Christ is King indeed. God bless you, B. Yeah, Frank. Dust off the old Biblio. There's good stuff in there, Frankie. I agree that Charlie Kirk may have been the first casualty of World War III, and that disturbs me deeply. Yeah, I just can't shake the feeling that it's coming. No one that we watch called for any harm. These people are violent because they may be wrong. Spiritual warfare is off limits. He is inciting harm. To Candace, what's wrong with these people? Well, they're demonic. No, I shouldn't fall into their trap. He's a deeply disturbed individual. I mean, you can't call for harm to befall people. You can't even suggest that that would be just in any legal system. Over an opinion on a podcast? Are you out of your mind? Yo, B! I've heard it said the tent with the lightning bolt had only been used a few times before 9/10. Curious on the dates, details, events it was used, possible symbol used in test runs or canceled attempts. Yeah, if you go back and look at like March, April, May of the year before, I think they used it then. I'm not sure. I think it was 4 or 5 we counted, but I can't remember. Calling disagreement demonic is just what the Pharisee did. They called Jesus himself Beelzebub. Frank is a Pharisee. I think Frank is what's the word I'm looking for? I think Frank is melting down with the rest of them. Text Tyler sent Lance mentions he wants to use as his lawyer. No, that's not true. I don't think. Maybe it is. Oh, no, it did. Actually, that is true. That is true. He did mention Doug Terry in the text. If we think his texts are planted by feds, wouldn't that message be planted as well? Everyone involved has to be an actor, including defense. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a good question. Frank Turek has a very bad case of projection. Thanks for all the work you do, B. Great show and awesome opening, as usual. Prayers for all. Christ is King indeed. Yeah, it's hard to put that opening together without sounding like you're reading a textbook. Hard to make that one fun. CK was a Pied Piper of youth voters. Those voters will decide elections. The other age groups and ethnicities are fairly set in their voting. The deep state would lose their control. So bye, CK. Yeah, maybe. Been a month since met with priest because was considering going back to Catholic Church after 30 years and had questions. Candace, you had a part in that. Thank you. Today we met again for confession. So grateful. Christ is King indeed. Wow. First confession in 30 years. I hope you took notes. Hope it was thorough. I had a 45-minute confession one time. The guy was like, "Are you done?" I'm like, hey. Been a while. Sit down, Father. Can you discuss John Cullen accusing Candace, you and others of being limited hangouts for not giving more airtime to Hades and UVAs. Who is this guy? I didn't know he was saying that, but he's a good researcher. I just don't see the drones. I mean, I don't see it. I've given plenty of time to Hades. I've talked about the arrival of the plane before and after, the low passes. I even brought up something I don't think he had brought up about the Hades program, which was the Hades plane that circled over the St. George, Utah area about the time Tyler Robinson is alleged to have turned himself in. It was flying from California to El Paso. It had no need to go over St. George, but it did very suspiciously. I think that's evidence of government involvement. I do. No other reason that plane was there. But I have no idea why he's saying that. Can't get in his head. So much for the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill. Well, Frankie believes in his own 10 Commandments. Thou shalt worship Frankie. 1, it's my birthday. Happy birthday. 2, next fundraiser should be pay to poll. $1 per vote. I don't know about that. Then they say more of that. Women can't multitask. I imagine a variety of dollar-making comments to coerce votes. You're saying manipulate the members' shows? No, will not. Frank has a very dark aura surrounding him. First, delightful, Pam. Thank you. That's very kind. Second, I agree. The kids say he has aura. I say, yeah, but it's dark aura. Guy with Turek looks like blow-up doll for HOV lane. That's funny. EK said Candace accused her of unaliving CK during her Janet Jackson impersonation. Defamation started then. Her Janet Jackson impersonation. Huh? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't recall her ever saying that. I think she made a joke about it on a private text one time, but I don't think she ever said it publicly out loud. But Baron, we're driving home to Waverly, Tennessee from Florida. I know where Waverly is, just west of here. Both my wife and I love your show and never miss one. Please, if you would say, sir, please, if you would, sir, say hi to Madden for me. She is driving and it might make her smile. Even the gays love Baron. Madden. Howdy. Hi. And drive safely to Waverly, Tennessee. Is Frank Turek anti-abortion? Why is he calling for the killing of pregnant women? Yeah. It's a good question. What platform is Frank Turek on so I can report him? I think that came from YouTube. I'm not calling for mass reporting. You guys make your own decision on what to do. My B, thoroughly enjoyed the interview with JD. Your intelligence and professionalism sets you apart. Oh, thank you. Very kind. Missed the principal show to finish it up before RBP tonight. Shh. You and Candace are my faves. Go Max, Christ is King indeed. Don't tell her you're missing her show. She might be watching. Wow. Always watching. Thank you. It was EK blackmailed for evangelical military faction. I don't know. Never considered it. Consider. Oh, I'm going to consider now. BH wore an Order of Santiago pin in a Sean Ryan interview. I did not know that. I don't even know what that is. Judge bans pins in TR hearing. BH got a raise instead of being fired. Teal use of religious rhetoric for biohacking. Mormons' vast genealogy records. Recent Pope excommunication. The Pope was excommunicated when? I don't remember that. I don't even know what the Order of Santiago is. All that sounds very fascinating. But I can't weigh in on it because I don't know. I think the judge banning pins during a hearing is pretty standard, though. But thank you. That was very kind. So when Turek says if you falsely accuse someone, you get punished with the same penalty, does that also apply to people accusing TR if it turned out he, in fact, didn't do it? Did I miss something? No, you nailed it. Rank with stochastic terrorism. Legally, not quite incitement. Kind of. Frank Turek is trying to be the Book of Eli villain. Say it comes from the Bible and they'll do anything you want. Purpose of book scene. Thank you for podcasting. Well, thank you for watching, Lily Del Valley. People like Frank Turek justify their own sinful behavior using Bible passages, giving away their psychopathic and arrogant nature. We must pray for him, for both him and his target, Candace Owens. Christ is King indeed. Yeah, pray for everybody. I don't want harm to befall anybody. This is an investigation into a crime. There's no reason to compound it with additional harm. Interesting to see what Charlie's kids think about all this someday. Didn't think about this until Julian said it. So heartbreaking. The world can see everyone around their dad was culpable, in my opinion. P.S. Candace and Barron. Wait, you like to do a show together? I'll consider it. I would love to do another one. With the new talk of the internal damage to Charlie Kirk, wondering why no one is talking about the pink, some kind of fluid that shows up on the back of CK's shirt right before Dan pushes him off the chair. Watch closer, you'll miss it. Love you, B. I've seen that. I always assumed it was Dan Flood's thumb, but I'll watch it again. Thank you for calling out Dr. CPR Turek, Barron. It's absolutely horrifying and anti-Christian in every respect. He's not pastoral in any sense whatsoever. Christ is king indeed. I agree. I don't think Frank was meant to be involved. He forced himself into the SUV. Boom, implicated. That's why his story doesn't match. He didn't get the, as you say, script, in my opinion. He's irritated once investigation gone. I don't know that I entirely agree with that. I see that as a potential possibility, but I don't know that I entirely agree. Oh, man, I can't wait for you to revisit the Butch Hibbs Altoids can. I didn't see an Altoids can that matched those dimensions. I'm willing to find one. I'll consider it. Baron, our bard, please ask Candace to follow St. Matthew 18, recorded online streams and post online when people Google Turek. I will call him excommunicant, never pastor Turek. I don't know what that means. I know what Matthew 18 is. That's the how you go to somebody who's wronged you, or who's in the wrong. I don't know what the rest of that's about. But thank you. Pray for Frank. Agreed. Thank you, Baron, for addressing Frank Turek. It's most important to call this out because he claims to follow Christ. Christ would absolutely condemn his behavior. Candace is his sister in Christ. I agree. But Baron, you are a foot soldier for God. Thank you from a loyal Michigander. We love Michigan. It's beautiful up there. Air gun powered powered projectile. Excess air move shirt. It was near to electrical shock to make sure heart stops. No way they ever try to debunk that. Okay. I'd have to see evidence of that. Apologies if this has already been asked. Carmelo Anthony raised $615,000 through crowdfunding for his defense. Realistically, could that same model be used to fund a private defense for TR? In theory. The problem is I'm not sure that would cover it in this case. I don't know. I mean, this is a big case. A lot of evidence. You and Candace have all the information. Disclose it and get it over with. Very dangerous for all of you. Well, I don't know that we have all the information. But I will say the timeline that things have been rolled out now has caused them plenty of heartburn. And I don't see messing with things. It's hard to argue. I mean, look at the state TPUSA is in. They're in a total disarray. If you believe that some of the people in total disarray might have had involvement or prior knowledge, it's working. It's working. Croatian living in Canada here. Have you seen Turek say finally to the statement that Erica took over TPUSA? It was a day or two after his murder. The way he said it was so ominous. He hated Charlie. Oh, didn't see that. Hey, Baron, if you haven't heard of Palm Beach Pete, please look into him. I'm convinced it's J.E. Oh, I've looked into him. He's fun. That's a fun story. I'm not sure if it's him or not, but I would love to believe. I believe. Help me in my unbelief. My B. I believe Frank is befuddled by daffodils with his nonsense. Indeed, Savannah. Indeed. I would love tank tops that say befuddled by daffodils. Haven't heard you say it in a while. It's right up there with bull butter, in my opinion. Nurse Casey, they're requesting tank tops. Nurse Casey does such a good job with the merch. I was telling her today, but for Nurse Casey, I wouldn't do it because it's a lot of work. And Frank repeated steal, kill, and destroy 3 times. It's almost as if he's trying to send a suggestion through repetition. Mocking pastor. Yes, indeed. As I said before, Your Highness, Frank Turd is a psychopath. Well, maybe. Officer Braindumb Tato Head is just that. Baldy, on the other hand, will turn them all in when have to. Let's keep it max and always be safe. Always being safe. Always being safe. 1, Cut and Shoot, Texas. Oh, number 1 in Cut and Shoot. Is that a city? First, super big thanks to you and Candace for helping me stay sane after hubby's triple bypass. 2, 15, Hez doing Gurit and Ham to welcome our third Grand Landon. What a blessing, just like you in this community. I'm rocking him now and training him to be a high IQ kiddo. Love you, B. Praying for you and fam always. Christ is King, Max. I think I read that right. Thank you. Bagley looks like a Milli Vanilli guy. Oh, gosh, don't say that. You know who was a huge Milli Vanilli guy before they got busted? I had the tape. Blame it on the rain. Yeah. Oh, man, I rocked that thing out. I let my tape rock till the tape popped. Friendly suggestion from another chronic cougher. NAC is an amazing supplement for lung conditions. I've seen amazing results. Protect those lungs. They produce superb content. So thankful for you. I have a bunch of NAC. The problem is I can only take it for a very short period of time. It is horrible on my asthma. And I don't know why. I believe phone tracking is done on all of us. So why can't the FBI prove where and when Tyler Robinson was through his phone pings? War Eagle. Oh, War Eagle, Miss Jen style. I don't know. They should be able to, I would think. Baron, they would have been putting more footprints and disturbing the gravel by walking around on the roof. Oops, no more evidence. It's a good point. I did like you more in the past. Oh, sorry to disappoint you. Baron, the body cam stores data that tells how it was activated and deactivated or if it died. The data should be part of the evidence. Christ is King indeed. Well, hopefully they have it. Baron on Julian, the principal, and now our humble host again. What a day, folks. Blessings to Baron, the Coleman family, and Daisy. Christ is King indeed. I thought about not doing a show tonight because the Julian interview came out, and I thought, that's a lot of Baron in one day. I'm not sure how people will do that, but I thought they could just watch a replay. By Firing Squad, Frank's exegesis, King David and Bathsheba should have been stoned, but now David's star or shield is worshipped. Oh, you'd have to believe that's David's star for one thing. May not be. But I get your drift. Shuttle logs can prove foreknowledge, and Harpole's own story exposes empty ER. Protocol was not bypassed. No one was there. Lone gunman collapses. Christ is King indeed. Duly noted. Maybe he was just standing there listening to Huey Lewis in the news. Baron, I roll over your funnies. My kids wonder why I'm randomly screaming with laughter in my room. Biggest fan in Oklahoma. I'll allow it. If you like the Huey Lewis in the news bit, I'll allow that. Candace has clearer resolution footage than UVU cameras and can ID mystery officer. Bagley rooftop companion. Nice. This is Christ is King. Nice to actually. Yeah. Duly noted. 5 more membos falling on people's heads. Bagley, deaf, dumb, and blind. Sure plays a mean pinball. That was The Who. Tommy. I saw a Huey concert in Murfreesboro, 1987. Love you, my B. Christ is King indeed. I saw a few concerts in Murfreesboro along the way. Back before Nashville had any decent concert venues, there were a lot down there. There were a lot down in Murfreesboro. Have you seen the conversation about Charlie Kirk being at Alcor Frozen? I have. I don't buy it. Burial, cremation, or cryogenically frozen. Only real 3 choices. Scottsdale location. I've heard that. I'm not a big fan of that theory. Is he related to Officer Bagley from the JFK? I don't know. That's a really good question. My B. I'm not ignoring you. Pinky promise. The power of love held my ears hostage. Oh, Jesus, help these people. Christ is the sovereign King. The power of... I like Huey Lewis. I don't knock him for listening to him. I just don't think you should be listening to him on the job. Like, I could get down to Huey Lewis. You can go deep on Huey Lewis. You could put Huey Lewis like on Spotify from the top songs and go like 20 deep before it kind of gets off into randomness. Shouldn't there be photos of evidence? Ideally, we haven't seen them. Apologetics and theology is my jam. Can we agree to never put Frank Turek's name in these categories? Never heard of this guy until Charlie Kirk's death. Please don't judge the evangelicals based on this wolf. Oh, I don't love you. Thank you. Body cam low battery should have gone off when he started his shift, which would have alerted him to go to a different body cam before his shift. Well, it's Bag Boy. Hey, my B from your show yesterday, Megyn Kelly said her faxed threat came 5 days after 9/10. This would be after TR was already in custody. Lone shooter narrative wouldn't pose a threat days later. Yeah, but a copycat might. I think that was her fear. Baron is a hip rockin' youngster in the 80s. Did you find yourself feeling enraged when Johnny Cougar changed his name back to John Mellencamp? Well, it wasn't quite that simple. He was John Cougar, then he was John Cougar Mellencamp, then he was John Mellencamp. And I didn't have much of an opinion on it. But I did like John Cougar. Keep in mind, I was in Indiana in those days. John Cougar's like the Bob Seger of Indiana, the Bruce Springsteen of Indiana. He's our guy. My beat, and I mentioned Seeger because he's from Michigan and he's Detroit and he's like their guy. Springsteen's from New Jersey. He's their guy. Mellencamp's from Indiana. He's their guy. You can't be from Indiana and not like Mellencamp. My B, the body camera company can link up all the cameras in use and create a panoramic view. Cost is expensive to do, but it can be done. Oh, I did not know that. Christ is King indeed. That's interesting to know. Thank you. Can we say if Bag Boy's battery light for the body camera shows green light? Can we see? I don't know. We'd have to look. I haven't seen the footage. But Baron, you crushed it on Julian's podcast. I loved learning more about my B. That is all. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you and God bless. Thank you and God bless. Very kind of you. Haptic feedback, real feeling experiences featuring Officer Bagley. Christ is King indeed. Indeed. Baron, you do crack me up. Everyone gets a new name. Bag Boy. Even the made-up characters of a story. And peace. Keep going, Max, for Charlie. Christ is King indeed. You're suggesting I made up Helen? You're suggesting Helen's not a real person? There's no one standing in the hospital in bunny slippers and curlers? At the tender age of 43? I doubt it. Good news. I can help the officer's battery memory. In the Life is Driving footage that Nissy used in a recent video, he walks right towards the camera and a big red circle is on his chest, not flashing. You can't miss it. Really? Does that suggest? Let me see what that suggests. Big red circle, can't miss it. Hold, please. Low battery warnings. Red below 33, blinking red, and yellow when critically low. So it would be at least no higher than 33. Before the device shuts down due to low power, it will emit an extra long audio beep and haptic vibration. I will go back and check that footage. I don't want to waste time looking for it now, but that is a great tip. Thank you. Officer Alan Robertson, maroon hat, head of the maroon shirts. Maybe. Axon device audit logs. They record device events and can distinguish a user-initiated power off from a shutdown due to battery depletion. The video alone usually cannot. Oh, duly noted. Thank you. Question. Say one of these TPUSA people decides to get a brain and want to be the first to make a deal. Who the heck would they turn themselves into? Obviously, it can't be the Fed. No, I wouldn't think so. I really don't know. My guess is that they would go to a lawyer in that area or go to a lawyer where they live. That lawyer would get in touch with a lawyer in maybe the Salt Lake area, perhaps in DC, and they would try to find somebody in the chain of command that they can trust. And I don't know who that is. That's a good question. Homie, you killed on the Julian pod. I was wondering if anyone has questioned any of the guys that were scanning the grass around the tent after the event. Were they looking for evidence? Christ is King indeed. I don't know if they've been questioned or not. I'm assuming they were looking for evidence, but I don't know. B, they said the name of the Discord has resembled one of the messages he wrote on the bullets. I caught this early. Smells like the feds. Read this if you're gay, and you're gay if you read this. Oh. Well, that would sound feddy, wouldn't it? Baron, props to you on JD. He is awesome and a pro. I agree. Frank is a fake Christian. Well, that's your opinion. And obviously a fake friend to Charlie Kirk, or he would not be attacking Charlie Kirk's good friend Candace for investigating Charlie Kirk's murder. That's your opinion as well, but I tend to agree with it. The jacket found on a 90-degree day in Utah. Seriously? Why is nothing serious, but they are pretending it is? Is this gaslighting? I may be lower IQ than most in here. No, I think you're right on the money. I think you've nailed it. It's like they're playing a game. Y'all, Big Bro Lincoln to my new Grand Landon heard B and said, it's bull butter, Graham. Oh, my heart. Train them up in the way they should go. Yes, you sound like you're raising very brilliant people. Bless you, Baron, for all your sacrifices to give us the real you and excellent content. Does the body cam have off switch for sound and haptics? Christ is king indeed. I don't think so, but I don't know. My B, and thank you for that. Very kind of you. My B, was there an evening event scheduled at USU? No, there was not. At USU? Yes, there was. Curious as to what? Curious as that would be similar to UVU, adding credibility to your backup theory. In my opinion, Christ is king indeed. Let me pull it up to make sure, but I'm pretty confident there was. I'll pull it right back up. Looking, scanning, scrolling, getting down to right event. Yeah, there was an evening event. Christ is king indeed, though. Yes. Sent super last night before showtime, and it got lost. Been bothering me the way the autopsy explained the injuries to the spinal cord without any exit wound. So much love from New Jersey. RBP is what I look forward to most each day. Thank you. That should be bothersome to you, because to arrive with that much force to obliterate that many vertebrae, you would think it would keep right on moving. I would. I mean, vertebrae are the strongest bones in the human body, but they're bones. They're bones. No bird pecking hands allowed, but the claw hands are okay, apparently. Yeah. Good job on Julian. I enjoyed hearing about the BC Baron before Charlie. You're a good man, Baron. Thank you for all you do. Christ is king indeed. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was like I said, if you've ever wondered more about me than what you see on this show, it was a good dive into it. Merch ideas, RBP. All you need is the edge of your seat. Yeah, that's all you need. Thank you. Very kind. Welp, I meant 10 days after MK's fax threat. Yeah. Either way, same thing applies. Just want to say thanks for everything you're doing to find the truth. That's all we want. I agree. Thank you. Was it the Utah Valley event booked before UVU? UVU was requested very last minute in July. I feel like UVU was plan B right after SAS. I think you may have mistyped. The Utah Valley event booked before UVU. You talking about the Utah State event before UVU? Potentially. I don't know. I don't know the timeline of when all the events were booked. It's worth knowing. Utah State U cops will say they were there observing the event to better prepare for the coming event, then jumped in to help because that's what you do. Well, that's foolishness. They shouldn't need to be at an event to prepare for an event. Run an event. Frank is making threatening remarks towards a pregnant woman, displaying ominous intent. You are an unkind, abrasive older man. Oh, you called him old. Oh, man. Abrasive, fine. I get it. Unkind, whatever. Old? Under no circumstances should you touch Candace. Agreed. Off limits. Edge, dear King Sir. Love the JD collab. Look forward to the visit with the doc. You were rocking it, but don't love hearing about security. Please be safe. What's up with Kennington? A Fed. Jesus loves you, me too. I don't know what's up with Kennington. I know there are people looking into it. Maybe we'll just have to wait until they finish that part of the investigation. I spent a little time looking into it, but not as much as people are digging around right now. Great to see our humble host with Julian Dory. Excited to have you in my home state of New Jersey. Hoboken is cool, but we also have plenty of farmland and a beautiful shoreline. Keep going, Max, and may God bless you and your family. Christ is king indeed. Hoboken was beautiful. Nothing but positive vibes with that place. Where were the Utah State cops prior to the bang? That's a good question. I'm not sure we know. Maybe we'll look into that. It's a good question. Wouldn't you hear the beeps in the footage from the cam? I don't know that it has sound. I guess they do. Yeah, they have sound. I don't know. Maybe. You did the Farnsworth. Tonight's episode was top. Oh, you talking? Yeah. Well, I can only mimic. I can never recreate. And what he did was just top notch. Great podcast with Julian. You were in Hoboken, 40 minutes from me. That explains your view of New Jersey. But we have it all. Cities, suburbs, lake communities, beach towns, sprawling hills and farmland. Just saying, man, New Jersey people are very proud. Very proud people. I've never seen people so proud of a state. That sounds amazing. I'll spend more time up there. That's Adriana. Yeah, I'll spend more time in New Jersey. Shy. My B. Everyone keeps mentioning the shirt, but did you find any documentation of his pants? There has to be some residual material on it. Love you, Muchas gracias. I don't know. Christ is king indeed. I don't know that we know where his pants are. They should be in evidence. I mean, without a doubt, those pants should be in evidence. Can they subpoena Terrell? Sure. You can subpoena anyone you want. Ryan Halfenbein of Liberty University said Bagley was at Uvalde. Weird coincidence. He said that on a cross-politic podcast. Was he really? Bagley, Uvalde. Was he shot? Because some guy named Bagley got shot at Uvalde. That would be weird if that's true. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I've not heard that. I'll tell you that. And I can't find anything super evident popping up real fast. Sorry if you already said USU event was scheduled and took place indoors at D. Glen Spectrum. Not a great backup for outdoor UVU event. Christ is king indeed. That's because they changed it. It was originally going to be an outdoor event in the day and then an indoor event at night. So that's why. King Baron Almighty. Oh, man, we've upgraded. King increase. Great interview with JD. Signed up for his Patreon to watch it. Thank you for your and your crew's hard work on this case. Love from Sylvia. Love you too, Sylvia. Love you too. Thank you for that. Love that you told us about the political atmosphere at the time of World War I. Maybe Charlie saw the arms stuff happening and they wanted him on board to participate, Kristen? Yeah. Kind of starting to lean that way myself. Always wanted to watch the replay. First time catching the live. I always have to watch the replay. First time catching the live. Love Team Baron and Daisy. Christ is king indeed. Welcome to the live show. Sammy Jane. 22. When I see that testimony from Officer Bowbutter, can't help but to sing, "You Can't Hide Your Lion Eyes." There's a lot of that going on. B is making money in gifts that fall on the screen. Try not to complain. Rubies from these gifts, which convert to cash at a rate of 1 ruby equals 1 cent. 100 rubies equals $1. Most of the gifts are above $5. Yeah. Thank you for stating that. Thank you for stating that. It's a weird coincidence that none of CK's downstream events were properly planned out, such as security. I don't know that none of them were. We are familiar with the Colorado event that took place the next day, and it seemed like that security posture was lacking. They've accused TR without evidence. Freight Turek. That's with a U. What a weird coincidence that Blake said his job was to get out of the way and not be a hero. Yeah. That's a coincidence. Edge. Thanks. This message for everyone. Please rush and pound the throne of God for the safety of Tyler, our sir, allies, those managing Tyler, and all who are on the fence of truth. Lord, we plead for your protection and courage. Thank you, Edge. That's very kind. I appreciate that. What weird coincidence. Erica doesn't believe in coincidences. No, she doesn't. That's a weird coincidence. I appreciate you seeking the truth, but regardless of evidence produced, nobody's going down for this, sadly. USA at its finest, but hey, as long as we can send more money to our greatest ally, right? Well, Christ is king indeed. It's a weird coincidence day. Bookmark this one. Yeah, this will be one for the ages. It's a mountain of coincidences, but not evidence. Correct, Tina Maples? Correct. Blinken, Robin Hood, Men in Tights. Guessing, I guess no one's coming. Bull Butter Bagley. Guessing, I guess nothing was captured. I'll be doggoned. Someone should act out what the feds claim TR did. The full thing in video, video it to show how crazy it was. Maybe Iran will make a Lego video about it. That's a good point. Someone ought to show up on campus at 8:30 in the morning and then do everything he did until 12:23. Actually, 12:29. The last time we have a video of the alleged bandit. Listing all the coincidences is very powerful. Brilliant idea, Baron. Very effective. I love it. Go Max for Charlie. Doing my best. Most detectives don't believe in coincidences. That's the reason for that. Frank is a Christian pastor defending a widow and fatherless children against words by calling for the murder of a mother and unborn child, leaving 4 children motherless. What could be more evil? More evil than Frank? Not much. Not much. That was out of bounds, what Frank did. It was so far gone. As an attorney, can you share your perspective? This trial scammy. Law and order was never realistic. Standards in 2026 have fallen. Status quo so far. I mean, that's what I do every night. So I appreciate it. I try to do that every night. Why wasn't the area taped off as a crime scene 3 minutes after the incident? Police chief walking around with other police, team TPUSA trampling directly where Charlie was struck. That was my whole show yesterday. I asked the same question. Well, why are they destroying the crime scene? Why is no one stopping the destruction of the crime scene? Hard to say Charlie's dead. Charlie Kirk's show is dead also. I want to push to get them to stop using his name. It's not his show. It's weird when my phone pops up and says Charlie Kirk is saying something. That's a weird thing. I'm so pumped for the 4-hour showdown with what's his name? Joseph Scott Morgan. I hope you pushed him on the spinal damage, physical reaction impossibility. He should admit how weird that is. Shout out to Julian Dory, a.k.a. Young Rogan, for doing it. Legend. I think you're going to enjoy the conversation quite a bit. What a weird coincidence that EK doesn't believe in coincidences. Agreed. Per government salaries, AR's USU 4-month 24 income was $3,750, 96% below average. Covered title for Fed. Utah isn't cheap. Great show on Julian Dory. Christ is king indeed. Do we have his more recent stuff? Maybe he was, I don't know. I'll check into that. That's weird. Bagley body cam may have caught LC roof at the BB. I don't know what that means. LC Center roof at the BB. Oh, at the Big Bang. At the Big Bang. Not if he didn't have it on before. Correction. In my opinion, his name is officially Officer Dirtbag. What a weird coincidence. EK said there's no such thing as coincidence. That's correct. Weird coincidence that everyone involved make Liberace look like a high testosterone lumberjack. That's because they're with TPUSA. TPUSA is not a high testosterone outfit. That's just all there is to it. Been here since Ian Carroll mentioned you. You're the best, Baron. Christ is king indeed. Thank you. That's very kind. Warning beeps on the camera would be on his cam before the battery died. So, Bag Boy, let's see it. Yeah, I want to hear it. And don't forget, Zen was on the guy's website. You talking about Phil Lyman? A little weird if it truly was there before. It's a little weird. Please, someone cut this video with EK saying, I don't believe in coincidences. Oh, that would be great. Just intersperse that every so often. Oh, that would be awesome. Someone needs to do that. Your humble host isn't the best editor. What a weird coincidence. Charlie Buddy did not act consistent with getting hit with a 30-06. Yeah, that is a weird coincidence. Gray plaid jacket. Should we revisit the idea from an early show of a Butch Hibbs decoy there? I still think there was a Butch lookalike due to thighs looking different. And didn't you find pocket differences in Butch clips? Yeah, and I also spent a long time comparing his hands. Butch Hibbs in real life has very distinct hands. And there's a clip in the Life is Driving video where he walks by on the phone, and the hands don't look like Butch Hibbs' hands. My B, the weird coincidences need to be clipped so we can share with others that believe FedSlop. Go Max. I'll ask my clips guy to make that a clip in the next few days. Charlie Kirk's clock was slowly ticking since October 2023. I agree. George Zen was involved and interviewed after 9/11 and also was at the Boston Marathon bombing. I forgot, statistically impossible. I've heard people say that, but I've never seen where he said that. All these weird coincidences sum it up to equal the evidence they had to hold a trial against TR when they actually point more towards TPUSA. Christ is king indeed. Well, they're just coincidences. I was worried at first about your collab with Julian because he swears a lot, and you don't, but it was the podcast we all needed, but didn't deserve. Great job. I didn't notice him swearing a lot. I caught a few. Do you need medical records on hand for speedy autopsy or to release the body? No, you can do it without it. Crazy that you found body cam model and info, but defense lawyer was like, I don't know how it works. Do you change the battery or what? Was she playing dumb? I hope not. Well, maybe I hope so. I don't know. I don't know what I hope. I hadn't thought of that. Maybe they need help. Hoodie made a hilarious Gary gif. Bro, you really need to follow us in our discoveries, but YouTube censors me if I say more. Duly noted. Thank you. B, what do you think the likelihood is that TR has told his attorneys the whole truth, regardless of what it is? I hope pretty high. If you're ever caught in a crime, lying to your attorney is a very bad decision. Just bust it out. Be honest. Just sit him down and say, hey, I got to talk to you. I got to tell you something. Baron, please let me know where I can buy the Baron Coleman official What a Weird Coincidence t-shirt and mug. It's the summer 2026 must have. That's a weird coincidence. Don't worry, Baron. You handled Owen today. Well, I had to show him I had tentacles. The attacks from the government. Waterboys is a big tell that we are over the target. Keep going, Max. I could not agree more. Appreciate you, Baron. Christ is King, indeed. Love from Little Oklahoma. Is that different from normal Oklahoma? Like a smaller version of Oklahoma somewhere? Like short people? Like everyone's like 3 inches tall? 3 inches, ladies. They act like they're going to fight for their lives. I knew Frank Turek exactly what he was saying and even praised for it to happen. Literally praise. I picture them doing prayers together. I hope not. If y'all could pray for a former classmate of mine. His name is Marcos. He took his own life. Oh, my goodness gracious. So devastating. I'm sorry to hear that. Certainly will. Everyone, please watch, download, and share John Bray Premier and website. Pray for JB and Baron Coleman and their families. Do not be afraid. Prepare, fast, pray. We are not serfs. Christianorum auxilium. Duly noted. Thank you. Could use all the prayers I can get. I reported FT for inciting violence. Encourage others to do the same. Unsure why, but I'm very easy today. Anyone else? Just me? I don't call for mass reporting. I don't think that's right to call for, but people will do what they're going to do. Bravo B, you brilliantly summed up the past 11 months of insanity. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane. When you put it all out there together, it's insane. I'd like to see Frank Turek reenact how he shimmied in from third row seats to give CK CPR without being noticed. I do think he gave them a hand in some capacity. Maybe. She rocks. Thank you. Very kind of you. She rocks. The day that the shot that took Charlie out was the day that time stood still. We will never be more the same. We will never more be the same. Go back for Charlie. God bless you and your family. Sweet Daisy, Nurse Casey, and Christ is King indeed. And Jesus loves you. Indeed. Indeed. My pastor brought up Candace for the first time in reference to politics and news stealing our attention and said, Candace Owens, God help us. Just weird. Yeah, that's weird. That's weird. If my pastor starts bringing up podcasters, I'm going to have issues. That ain't Jesus. Talk to me about Jesus. Can you address why the number of windows differs from FBI video to personal visitors' photos of Losi? No, because I have not seen that. I have to look at that. 5 more memos falling on people's heads. Just like that. You get to watch a member show and watch all the content in the past. Ben Security talking with 2 Charlies just a day after Charlie didn't want to do an interview with him. Well, that's weird coincidence. Bless you, B. Keep going. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's a weird coincidence. They happen to call Ben. I should have put that in there. Frank Turek has a serpent tongue. As someone who has already placed guilt on TR for Charlie Kirk, it's kind of pot calling kettle black. Frankie, we're talking to you over here, Frankie. Correlation between people who doubt the official 9/11 narrative also don't believe TR acted alone to kill CK, more than doubting COVID facts. Thoughts? I haven't even looked at that. I think there would be a healthy skepticism of the federal government for people who doubt the official narrative on 9/11. Maybe. Baron Charlie Kirk interview with Mike Lee a week before he died. He said he had a series of 3 Utah schools planned, maybe a backup to the backup plan. I did not know he said that. Curious what the third one was. Speaking of weird coincidences, the medical examiner's wife dresses up like a full furry with a mask and better quality stuff. I think we all see all we see of Tyler, it was him in a wolf onesie PJ set, not full furry. I don't know the ins and outs of the furries. And I'll be honest. I'll be the first to say it. I don't know what these furries are up to. Anyone get jammed up at the PD for the battery? I don't know what that means. Just emailed you a young looking pretty nifty in a gray plaid jacket. I don't know that I want to see it pretty nifty. We got goats coming in. Baron, as much as I suck at sending a silly pic of my cell phone case that saved my life at Mandalay Bay, it's yours and no one else. Please forgive my procrastination. Christ is king indeed, and I love you and Daisy. You suck at sending a silly pic. Did you send that yet? I haven't seen it. I would love to see it. I'd love to see it. This story's amazing. Gifted 5 members. Look, these memberships are just falling down on people. Baron, please clip your coincidence segment. Perfect for those that believe the Fed slot. Love your show. God bless and keep you. First super chat. Thank you. I will have our clips guy clip that segment. That's usually when we get multiple requests, he'll grab it. Speaking of weird coincidences, the Emmy's wife was a full furry. Yes. I mentioned that, didn't I? All we see of Lance is him in a PJ onesie of an animal. Yeah, I thought I mentioned that. Maybe I didn't. I meant to. Did we see the altered reflections in Farnsworth's glasses from when he recorded the video while they were carrying Charlie out? The people reflecting his lenses were intentionally erased. No, I think what you've seen is an AI-enhanced image. And this happens quite a bit in this case for some reason. I don't know why. But people are dissatisfied with the quality of images they see. They run it through some sort of AI enhancement to try to crisp it up a little bit. And it alters the content. And then they look at it and say, hey, that's not Tyler Robinson. Hey, there's no people in that. And then it's, so I think that's what's happening. It's my birthday. It was my birthday on the first, so I ordered one of your merch shirts and the Whole Please mug. Both arrived safely to Australia in time for me to wear it on my birthday. The shirt and mug are amazing. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. All the way to Australia, you say. Edge, in response to your comment on Julian Dory about Americans going to work, kids' games, paying bills, etc., what can we do? I feel defeated. Life needs to go on, but needs to change. How? Well, I wasn't offering a solution. I was just commenting on reality. So I don't know. The answer to that is I don't know. I believe I remember Erica saying, I don't believe in coincidences. That's correct. That's correct. You've made such a profound impact on my life since hearing you tell us Jesus loves you with such warmth. I went to confession after 15 years. I sent you a gift and had it blessed by the same priest. My goodness gracious. Thank you. That was very kind. And I mean, that's what I'm talking about. When this community's improving their lives, see people get off drugs, they quit drinking, they're going back to church, they're starting church for the first time. It's amazing. Well, these are victories. People's lives are getting better. And that's an amazing testament to the power of this community. It's not me, it's you guys. Hey, Baron, is Jeff Long's any relation to Spencer Long, Provo fire captain whose entire family was killed by a flash flood in Wayne County on July 17th? I have no idea. That's tragic. That is tragic. I have no idea. Been looking at something for a bit, comparing some parking lot K videos. Well, I don't know what a K video is. Is it crazy to suggest the roof videos they have were taped prior, and that's why there are so many cuts now? I mean, there are no eyewitnesses of the jump. There are no publicly known eyewitnesses of the jump. I'll give you that. We can't possibly know that there are no eyewitnesses to the jump, but we can state with confidence we've not heard one come forward yet. Baron's list of weird coincidences is longer than the longest CVS receipt. That's long. That's long. You go in for a single tube of chapstick and you come out with enough paper to make a Bible. NASA is a black ops program. Space is made in their Hollywood basement. Satan is the god of all governments. Little hats are his commanding officers, and CK wasn't shot with a 30-06. There's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack there. There's Casey, merch idea. I have a Mauser in my trouser. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. Clips channel. Coincidence clip needed, please. Christ is king indeed. They take 3 or 4 days to turn around. So maybe by the end of the week or early next week, we can get that up. And I'll let you know when it is. But we'll get it up. We'll get it up. Could it be the body cam ran just fine, but someone cut the recorded footage off so they could put the screwdriver on the roof and be able to get away with saying it was found there? That's my thought. Whether that's what happened, I don't know. That's my thought. Hi, Baron. Please explain why the FBI went to UVU at all. Also, I filed a criminal complaint against Bagley last week in Utah County. No response yet. What was the nature of the complaint? I'm curious. Why the FBI went at all? I don't know. It's a pretty high profile homicide. I could see them responding if they knew about it. The response was quick, admittedly. I mean, 16 minutes is lightning fast. I mean, yeah, there was a shop close to Provo that had a few officers in it. But even if they came from there, I mean, they would have had to know about within like 2 minutes in order to get there within 16 minutes. It's not next door. They would have to have called almost immediately and like run out of the office, jumped in a car. Like, if somebody was in the bathroom, they wouldn't have made it. Hey, B, traveled to Sri Lanka the other week and still caught up on your shows as I rode around exploring on a scooter. Love your work as always from your number one fan in Sydney, Australia, Mel. Mel, watch where you're going on the scooter next time. The show can wait. Has anyone looked at all the pictures of the staff that had backpacks at the event? And then after the event, could we find out who no longer has a backpack if it was really someone from the TPUSA team? We've looked at that. So Mikey has a backpack and he's gone from 2 shoulders to 1 shoulder. I'll be honest. Danny Phillip looks like his backpack has way less stuff in it. I don't know whether that's true, but it looks like it's half as full as it was. I don't know what came out of it, if anything. Nate Walker had a passenger bag and he was not carrying that in the footage we saw afterwards. I don't know where that went. I think that was it as far as backpacks, wasn't it? I don't know. Criminal complaint against Bagley for perjury. Oh, I don't think you have standing to file that complaint. Maybe, but we'll find out. Maybe the weird flash we saw from the guy on Candace video was signaling to Frank and then Frank to others that rooftop was ready. Maybe, but I still think that flash was probably a windshield, but I don't know. And I'm not I wouldn't put money on that. Watching from Nova Scotia, Canada. So many weird coincidences should be closing arguments at trial if Tyler makes it. Christ is king indeed. Great job, Baron. Okay. 5 more membos dropping on people's heads. Guys, there's a lot of good membership content out there. I hope you take advantage of it. 2 words. Donald House. Who is that? Who's Donald House? I don't know. Didn't they say CK had a pulse upon arrival to the hospital? Seems unlikely with medical examiner's report claiming that level of spinal damage, blood loss. I think Frank Turek's thing was they got a pulse back, but if he's missing his spinal cord from C2 to C7, they didn't get a pulse back. I don't think. I mean, maybe the heart can beat on its own without a brain. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know how it works. But Baron, when my city government sends me a letter to tell me I need to serve on jury duty, can I write back that I already serve continuously on RBP's grand jury? Yeah. Let me know how that works out. I hope they accept it. You're a legend. Loved your Julian Dory piece. Love you too, Mr. Dory. I'm the same age as Baron, but also truly feel connected to Julian Dory's generation. Okay. I'll allow it. I don't feel like I'm that much older than he is, but I guess I'm 15 years older. I was in he made a comment during there. He's like, I don't know. I wasn't born in the early 90s. And I thought, for real? He'd have been like 6 on 9/11. I was in college. So I guess we were not. Where to find your news and views from 9 to Noon clips? Oh, gosh. You don't want to find those. You don't want to find those. Who knows what I said back then? I decry all of it. I disclaim everything I ever said. Baron, look into Donald House in the JFK assassination as an analog for Utah State. Christ was cool, but just another failed Messiah. Who said that? Did Donald House say that? Shame on him. I'll look into it, sure. Hey, Baza from Oz. Frank T just committed what he's accusing Candace of. So, does he require the same justice? No, we're not going that route. We're not cruel people that call for the deaths of people. Not that weird Netan Yahoo knew right away, considering Eyebrows' security team was being updated. Well, it might be a difference without a distinction. I love the show tonight. Mr. Coleman, you are on fire tonight. Keep it up. Sounds like there are some men that need some common sense. Baron for AG. Christ is king indeed. I think I would have trouble surviving the Senate confirmation process, but I'm willing to accept. If nominated, I will accept. If elected, I will serve. I would do that, yeah. Please check out remote viewer hate. No. Oh, well, remote viewer regarding expert frequency, and maybe. Very insightful remote viewing on Erica, Tyler, Kent. Oh, I don't know about all that. I don't know. I'm weird on that stuff. I don't do the talking to the dead stuff, and remote viewing I'm a little weird on too. Not as weird, but a little weird. Aha. Farnsworth didn't lie about LEOs telling him to take SD card. Just left out they said to do so prior to the event. I think the official story is they told him after the event, after he'd already done it. I think. That's a mountain of reasonable doubt. I think so. Well done, B. You continue to outdo yourself. Oh, man. Those are kind words. Outstanding work. You bring all the feels every show. Thank you, and D, for your time and hard work. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, sir, what? Jersey is Bon Jovi. I mean, I know he's from New Jersey, but it's Springfield. Oh, Springsteen. Excuse me. Springsteen. Springfield. I think if you ask New Jersey, like, which rocker is synonymous with the state, they're going to say, now maybe it's an age thing. I don't know. Bon Jovi had long hair. Pastor Frank is giving King Henry II vibes with those statement from your opening. Perhaps. 5 more Mimbos. Guys, Mimbos are falling all over people's heads. Take advantage of them if you get one. Please go watch all the content. Tune in for the live shows while you have it. You're going to love it. If I do say. Maybe you'll hate it. My uncle played bass for Mellencamp on Jack and Diane and many others. That means he played with Kenny Aronoff, who went to Jacobs School of Music, Bloomington, Indiana. That's amazing. 1 degree separation from old Johnny Cougar, as they called him. J.D. Vance wouldn't have stood a chance in an election without Charlie Kirk. Well, I mean, he didn't really get elected. Oh, you're talking about a Senate election? Okay, maybe. But I mean, for the vice president, no one votes for the vice president. You can put anyone you want on there. My father is Larry Knechtel. Looking him up. Larry. Come on, Larry. Oh, American keyboard and bassist. The one who played for John Mellencamp? No, that's a different one. What's up with all the musicians all of a sudden? Interesting. Baron here from DC. You're amazing. I can't get over their casual, emotionless stroll out of the hospital or into the hospital. Yes. Tragic. I worry for Candace. Oh, gosh. I hope we don't have to worry for Candace. What about the windows in Gaza? I don't know. Well, there aren't many left. B, we don't know about Charlie Kirk's personal health. What if there was some sort of implant and drainage was from inside out? Oh, damage. Excuse me. Drainage. Damage was from inside out. Certainly possible, but I think highly unlikely, if I'm being honest. ER nurse, if a hospital goes on divert, they will still get walk-ins and EMS. Divert does not shut down the ER. With gunshot patients, they don't go on lockdown. They put extra security in that department. Christ is king indeed. Oh. Well, I wonder if that's like universal or is that hospital by hospital? I don't know that. Used to watching you and Candace from Alaska, taking care of my parents on the East Coast, and you're right. This side of the country. Long time stand us and apologize. This is my first super. Yeah, love you, my fellow Catholic. Christ is King indeed. Love you more. I love you more. Thank you for joining in. I appreciate it. And I hope your time on the East Coast is not too difficult. My B, I stopped yanking and banking to watch this episode. Hey, do that in private, sir. No one wants to hear about you yanking and banking. I'm late, but I'm here. Have you seen the Candace Lego videos? Of course I have. Hey, Baron, I'm a Bama student and huge fan. Your show keeps me going. Can I get a roll tide? Thanks for fighting for the truth. Ugh. Gotta work myself up for that. Here we go. Ready? Roll tide. That's all I got. That's all I got. Subscribed after that first video with Julian. Oh, thank you. Thank you. The biggest coincidence was Charlie's texts and stance on Israel before he died. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That is a coincidence. No way. I'm in Cut and Shoot, population of 1,500. Oh, someone else from Cut and Shoot. I'm leaning on electrocution. That's what the burn marks are from his chest. In my opinion, Bag Boy turns this back on Farnsworth intentionally. Go Max. Christ is King indeed. We'll stay tuned to find out. Frank needs to think about his accusation of Tyler. I agree. Have you ever looked into the VP of UVU, Astrid Tumenez, member of Trilateral Commission, former exec at World Bank and Microsoft? She was the president. She wasn't the VP. She was the head honcho. She was the big cheese. And now she's gone. Baron, you're exceptional. Oh, you're exceptional. Bree baby. Yee. XX. Bean's attire on the Relatable with Habs show on IG. Gray plaid jacket. Nothing inappropriate. Just worth noting. What? Relatable with... Oh, with Ali Beth Stuckey. For real? It was. I had no idea he was on Ali Beth Stuffy. Did she ever get some Sudafed? She needs it. I'm not a medical professional. Maybe she doesn't. My Chemical Romance is New Jersey. Granted, fine band. You're going to put him over Bruce Springsteen and Bon Jovi in terms of identification with the state? No. Like, think of Tennessee. You've got Tina Turner. You've got Elvis. You've got Johnny Cash. What if someone was like, but Kingpin Skinny Pimp, he was a rapper out of Memphis. I mean, yeah, he was. Tina Turner. Johnny Cash. Elvis. I mean, you got, Keith Whitley. No, I'm not going to name everybody from Tennessee. There's a lot of them, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, thank you. Very kind of you. Guys, I think we've reached the end. I probably will do the member show tomorrow and not Friday, but stay tuned on that. I'll let you know. I'll make a decision in the morning. I've got a couple errands to run in the morning. We'll see how those go, how long that takes. But I will do, I'll do one soon. So if you are a member, stay tuned. If you are not, now's your chance. A lot of you got free memberships over the course of the program. Don't forget, like, subscribe, notifications, all that good stuff. Guys, don't forget. You guys, I know, someone said a minute ago that I say it with warmth. I don't try to say it with warmth. It's just a warm thing to say. Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you. And no matter what's going on in your life, that's always going to be true. No matter what you've done, that's always going to be true. Oh, but Baron, you don't know what I've done. I do. I know what you've done is not capable of stopping that. So keep that in mind. I got one more and then I'm going to get out of here. I think the reason TF removes only that camera SD card is to hide the cleanup security team was doing behind the table. He showed CO the footage of shot only hiding the action behind the table. I agree. I genuinely agree, because there were lots of cameras there that had lots of gruesome footage. That's the one he chose to go after. And I think there was probably a reason why. Guys, I will see you tomorrow, probably, for the member show. If not, I'll see you Wednesday for the live show, the regular live show Wednesday night. If you've not caught the Julian Dory show interview, go check it out, because there'll be another one coming out later this week. And you won't want to be 2 Julian Dory episodes behind. And then you got to catch my show. I'll see you guys soon. Take it easy. Bye, guys.